Good evening, my friends, and welcome to Board Game Nation. It is Friday night. It is World Championship Axis and Allies season. A couple of things real quick. I see the chat is already hopping, which is fantastic. We're glad everybody's here. A couple of things to know. Make sure that we're going to try to avoid spoilers in the chat for the first 10 minutes or so, just so that anybody that might be clicking in here to say hello, they can do that, but in case they haven't seen it. But so we're going to try to avoid spoilers for the first few minutes in the chat. We've already got a lot of great people here. General Brian Hyde is here. Todd Moldina is here, who's already. This is just propaganda. This is just propaganda at this point. That's just no, that's great. That's true. You're already the GOAT, my man. You had a big year. There's no doubt about that. Mind Blown is back. Nathan, good to see you, brother. Thanks for rejoining us. It's great to see you, man. Thanks for being here. Appreciate that. And Tracy is here. Tracy Hyde, General Tracy Hyde is here. And I just saw Carl. Carl's here. Carl Ganvelderlin. Great to see you, man. Hello up there in Wisconsin. Great to see you. Mr. Coffee is here from Chicago, my kind of town. My kind of town that Chicago is. Great to see you, Mr. Coffee. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Friday night. Landon is here. Good to see you, man. And the Gamesmiths is here. Brian is here. Great to see you. First, let me. I put a poll in the field, as it were, just kind of a general question. I'm curious how many folks will take a stab at the number of still images, photographs that we took in order to recreate all of these games. So far we've recreated 5 games from the World Championship or from Gen Con in general. And I'm curious if you guys have a thought on how to, or how many still images that actually took. Like, the thing is, like, each one of these images is framed and positioned in just the right way so that they can be readable, chip stacked, and then once they're taken, now they've got to be uploaded and then color graded and then cropped and with the graphics overlaid. So I'm curious if you guys have an idea of how many that is. I think it's just kind of more of like a jelly beans in a jar kind of question, I suppose. Todana is here. Great to see you. Let's see if you remember how to pronounce my name. I do, my friend. Todana is one of our 2 new generals that we got this week. We're super grateful for the support. Todana is here, as is Hope Sam Liebert is able to come by. He's a friend of mine from Pewaukee, Wisconsin. We appreciate him chipping in and supporting the madness that we're doing here. Todana, thanks for that super chat. We appreciate that, and thank you for becoming a BGN General. That is fantastic. We appreciate that. Real quick, how's the sound? How's the video? I hope everything looks okay. Sounds okay. Testing out a new mic here. So we appreciate that. Midlands is here. Great to see you. Well, fantastic. So we've got a ton of stuff to get through today. Texas is here. Great to see you, Nitro. Lots of stuff to get through today. We're going to be talking about our match with Dave and Mike and some of the highlights of that game and some of the kind of the talking points of that game. So we are looking forward to that. We also have some more, little bit of behind the scenes as to what went on and how we put all this together for everybody. I'd also like to spend a minute talking about what we've got coming up in 2026, what's on our calendar, where we're hoping to go, what we'd like to be able to do. And we're just so grateful for everybody being here. AxisAndAllies.org is here. That's Dave Jensen. He was one of our competitors in the final. So again, we're avoiding spoilers for the first couple more minutes here. If you're just hanging out, great to see you. Thanks for stopping by. We are going to get into the action of the game here shortly, so watch for that. So awesome, so fantastic. We already got a lot of people voting on the poll. We appreciate that interaction. Those are a lot of fun. So cool. And that was the other thing. I should really write some notes down and plan for these. But what I wanted to say is that we have some news about Battlefront Dayton that I'm hoping we get a chance to talk about as well. So we've got just a ton to get through today, but I can't do it without my ride or die. And apparently the GOAT, the man himself, we got to have him on the show. We should have him on, I think. Let's see. Hey, there he is.
Hey, Gary.
Thorpe, everybody. Hold on.
How's it going, man? Hey, everybody. There we go.
There it is. The Glockenspiel. Very nice.
That's right.
Well, good evening, Doug. How you doing, my man?
I'm all right. I'm all right. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I got the final
Good.
video out.
Yeah. Nice.
And
That's a burden
uh,
lifted.
yeah, it's been a long road, but it's been a lot
Yeah.
of fun, and it's been some great people that have helped make it possible, and we certainly appreciate that. Um, you being one of them. Thank you for taking
Yeah.
the time and hanging out with us and going through all of these incredible games with us. And some we played in, some we didn't play in, um,
hmm
and I think that makes sense.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yes, Dave is up for any questions about the game. By the way, that's good to hear. So thanks for being here, my man. We appreciate that. Um,
So I was playing before I got on here. I realized I don't know that I've ever actually played Monopoly with my kids. I don't know that we've ever taught them that game. Some people would argue it's not even a game. It barely classifies as a game. It's more like an experiment in luck and randomness. But anyway, we got Monopoly out. I actually do own a copy, even though I think it like came from my wife's childhood or something like that, and
sure,
started
shit.
playing.
We've all got one on the shelf somewhere. Um,
Yeah.
Sometimes we pick them up on like tourist trips or whatever. There's like, I always see it in like Walgreens or whatever. There's a Memphisopoly,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Which has like
hmm
Beale Street and the zoo and the pyramid and all that kind of stuff. So that's always a thing. But but yeah, it's what figure did you play or are you
I
playing?
am the wheelbarrow.
You're the wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
Interesting
I thought
choice.
about going for the battleship. It's the one that has the little battleship.
That's what I was
But
gonna
I,
say.
yeah, probably should have. Like a bomber wasn't a choice. Neither was
Right,
an aircraft carrier. So
right.
went with a wheelbarrow.
Yes, yes, yes. I am a I've got a hot take on Monopoly as a whole. By the way, I think the game is broken. Like as just first off, most people don't even play it right. You got to have the auction rule involved, so when people
You got
land
to
on
play
it,
it.
but
You got to play.
that speeds up the game because who's ever behind and can't auction properly to get the properties, they
hmm
fall behind even faster. And that's the
Yeah.
core problem of the game, right? Like there's no ability in this game for there to be a sudden reversal. Once you're behind, you can never really come back, right?
Yeah. Other than extreme luck.
Right. And so everybody's added this free parking thing in an attempt to overcome that inherent
hmm
flaw in the game. They didn't know they were doing that, but that's what they were doing is they're trying to
Yeah.
create some ability for there to be a sudden reversal for somebody to be able to come from behind. And if you think I'm wrong about this being a broken game, just Google like Monopoly table flip on search for it on YouTube and just I would bet all the money in my pockets right now that there's a compilation video that somebody has put together that's like 20 minutes of people just flipping Monopoly tables. I'm just sure that that's true. So, but that
That's
never
good.
happens with Access and Allies.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But
Oh.
yeah. But and if you want an interesting story and an interesting read, look up the history of Monopoly. More specifically, the Landlord's Game. It is a fascinating history. Make sure that you check that out. It's pretty interesting. So, I don't know what Monopoly Deal is great. Okay, all right. Are we?
You'll play that card game. Yeah.
I've never played that.
It's it's like, yeah, it's fun.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That.
we'll check it out. I'm always up for something new. That's totally fine with me. So there's one thing that we've added. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but I just kind of want to give everybody a heads up. We added this week. I signed up for the Buy Me a Coffee thing because we had so many people like chipping in last week. That was great, and mom always told me never get in the way of people wanting to give you money. So that's what I'm doing. So we signed up for the Buy Me a Coffee link. I think it's buymeacoffee.com/Board Game Nation. So if you go there and you drop something in the bucket over there, there'll be a little pop up that comes up here. And so it's just, so if it should happen, I'm not asking for it to happen. If it should happen, just so hey, holy cow, we got a super chat. Okay, there we go. Which is not the same thing as the Buy Me a Coffee, but it'll come up the same way. when you trade to get Park Place and give up Baltic, you win. Yeah,
Could be true.
that would be the case usually. Yeah, for sure.
Robin would love to know that Alex, the first time around the board, lands on Boardwalk, buys it. The next time around the board, lands on Park Place, buys it. That's where we're at in the game. We had to put it on pause.
Well, good luck
He's
with your
mortgaging
wheelbarrow.
properties to build houses, which is never a place you want to be in life, but sometimes it works in Monopoly.
Hey, you got to borrow to build sometimes, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
all it's going to take to get all his money back is for you guys to land on it a couple of times, and that'll be
yeah,
it.
exactly.
So,
So
yes, dice not thrown on a box, but against the wall. That is more likely what you'll see in Monopoly. No doubt about that. But thank you
I
again
remember
for that super chat, Jeanette. All right. Gotta get this thing out of my way. There we go. All right. Yeah, I thought it was remarkable how many times people would throw the dice out of the box at Gen Con, right? Like, and we play with like the big box tops usually, right? And sometimes the anniversary box tops, which are like the size of a soccer pitch, right? Like they're just huge, and still they throw them in there, bounce them out, and whatever.
I've done it.
Yeah, for sure.
Worse when it goes across the board and knocks stuff down. You're like, I think this guy was here. I think this tank might have been in this territory.
Yep. All right. I think we're deep enough in here to time for spoilers, my friends. So if you so before we do that, if you're here and you want to watch the final video and see it on your own without knowing how it ends, now is your time to hit that like button and skedaddle, because we're going to get into the game now and start talking about some of the details of how that went. So before we do that, I'm going to close this poll just so that you guys can. I might put in another one here in just a minute. But the answer was 3,823 still photographs were used to make the 5 videos that you have been watching over the past 5 weeks. So it's
a crazy number of photos.
A lot of pictures. The average is about 850. Obviously, the games that were 7 rounds long, those those obviously take a lot more pictures. Right.
Yeah.
This is why when the 2024 global final ended after 4 rounds, I was like, yes. I don't care who won. I'm just happy that it's over in 4 rounds. We're gonna have a cool story. It's gonna be good, and it's not gonna take a month and a half to put all that together. Oh, yeah. We got our first gift membership. Thank you, Cray T. Appreciate that. And Sky History is one of our newest members. We appreciate that. Oh, and I forgot to mention, we're going to be doing a giveaway. We've got some global maps that Larry signed for us, and we are going to be giving away one of those tonight. And to win the prize, so you need to be a member. And with some rare exceptions, like people that we know signed up on their own at the lieutenant or general level over the last month, unless you've been a member for more than a month, the prizes will be for people who have been a member for more than a month. Often, we ran into this last year where we were doing prizes, and we're thrilled to have the gift memberships, but we had people that were gift members that were winning the prizes, and they weren't in the show, so they didn't know, and nobody knew how to reach them. So it was hard to. I still have some of the prizes that we gave away from last year that went to people that, never reached out to tell me how to get it to them. So
here's my question about giving away a signed global map. What do you do with the rest of the game? I mean, you don't have a map anymore. Do you have to just buy one of the neoprene mats?
Oh, you frame it, you put it on the wall.
No, but I mean, what do? You have a global. Where'd you get the global map from? You bought a game that has a global map in it, I assume.
Okay.
What do you do with the rest of the game?
Yeah, so I got year before last, I went to the BBR event in St. Louis, and these guys have like their own like beautiful like rollout map that they play on. Right. Mm-hmm. And so Robert Prather, the chaplain who runs his own YouTube channel and hosts those events, great guy. He had a stack of these maps that he's like, I don't really have a use for these. And I'm like, I'll take them. And I think I gave him like 20 or $30 for it. And so I got a stack of them. Now they're all pre-Renegade, which is fine because it's not like they made big changes, but there's some changes on the new maps. And then Renegade, when I got to Battlefront Dayton, they sent me the premium maps for everybody to use in the global tournaments, right? And so then they also sent me, I think it was like 10 copies or something of the different games. Though I was a little short on 1940 Europe, they weren't in stock at the time, and Robert Phelps, who runs Duel in Dayton, which is sold out, by the way, for anybody who's looking to go to that event's sold out. But he jumped in and provided some of the 1940 Europe maps that we ended up using. So it was a little bit of, we needed the pieces is what we needed. It's because we had the rollout maps, but we didn't have the units, right? The physical pieces. Yeah. So he jumped in and provided some of those for us, which was great. There's another spring of memberships here. General Hyde dropped us 5 more memberships. We appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome to all of our new members. Great to have you here. So, yeah. So I had all these maps, and we had Larry at Battlefront Dayton. And so after everybody did the signing, like that wanted to do it, I asked Larry to go ahead and sign these. So I have like a pretty good number of these that we can give away for prizes, and that's what I told them that they were going to be for. And I haven't put any of them on eBay. No, no. So yeah, we'll have them for prizes to give away and so on. So, cool. So we'll be doing that in a little bit. But before we jump into the game here, if you are watching and enjoying the show, please go ahead and take a second and hit that like button for us. It really does make a difference in how the algorithm sees us and so on. So we appreciate that. And
I feel like there's more likes on this video.
Right, exactly. So we put a montage. I'll sign it if you want. So we put a montage of all of the events that we played at this year, and towards the end of the video, because and I was telling the truth there, like we love going to these events and playing with everybody and hanging out. We're happy to feature everybody as often as we can. Let me know in the comments here in the chat if you saw yourself in that montage, right? Did you see yourself in the video? Because I'm hoping that you did, right? Like I'm hoping that you did. So yes. So here's your spoiler. Thank you, Robin. Greetings to our first ever Triple Crown winner. There you go. That is Mr. Doug Thorpe himself. He and I won the Spring Gathering together, and then we won the World Championship together again. And then because I was running the tournaments at Battlefront Dayton, I couldn't play, of course. And he partnered up with Carl Van Gelderland in a temporary sub to stand in. He's an okay player. He's not bad. Carl's an incredible player, by the way. He's one of the top players, and there's no doubt.
Yeah.
But they together won Battlefront Dayton, and so they, sure enough, took down the title and took home the bomber. What'd you guys get? The
B-52, I think.
No. You got B-25. You got the Mitchells. Yeah. Because the B-17s were for 42 second, and then Global got the B-29s. So, yes, those were fun. I love those. What?
I said I got the stealth bomber as a joke.
Oh, yes. It's funny. That was one of the options when I was looking at the shops where I got those. Like, yeah.
Wouldn't have fit the
you're
theme.
Right. You're right, Carl. You got the B-25s. Right. B-17s is what the 42 second edition guys got. You guys got the B-25, right? Right. Thank you. Yes, this guy, Carl. There
you go. There he is.
Okay. So yeah. I'm glad Charlie saw himself too. Dan and Charlie. Charlie he's in the picture with me and Greg, and with me and Greg Smorey, and Greg and I had just signed his 1942 second edition rulebook. And so he was very happy with that. He had a ball at Gen Con this year, so or in 2025. So it was great to see him, and he was a lot of fun to have around. And Dan, you were okay too. We appreciate you guys taking the time and coming to hang out with us. And then, of course, they both made the trip to Dayton and got a chance to hang out with us in Dayton as well. So, yeah, that's a good question. What's your favorite nation to play as? Doug seems to like a tried and true U.S. player. I don't know. You got a favorite? I think for you, it's just like the Pacific theater in general. So either Japan or the U.S., right?
I do like the Pacific. I like the US. I do. I like Japan. I feel like the UK is fun to play because you're kind of the one country who's everywhere. And I think that's pretty fun. Yeah. What about you, Gary? What's your favorite? China, probably.
Usually, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
They're
They
pretty
just have so
exciting.
many options, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah,
Anzac, right? I like Anzac. Anzac's a
yeah.
lot of fun. Um, no, I think really for me it's the European theater in general, whichever side, right? If I'm playing the Germans, that's cool. If I'm playing the Soviets or the in the UK, I like that. I like that theater because I like it because it's a nice balance of land combat and sea combat. So there's and which creates a whole new web of movement capabilities, right? Like you build a carrier here, and all of a sudden this fighter can get in this battle, or like I build, 3 tanks and I can get to this place, or 2 fighters, it gets me into this, right? So I think that is a lot of fun. Todana, we're going to answer this question in just a little while. We're going to get through. We're going to talk about this game, and then we'll talk about what we've got coming up next. But it's a lot of fun things. So hang on. Okay. Have you ever tried a Germany first strategy, or is that just not viable? I never see any do that in your videos. Some folks tried midway through the game, but never from the get go. Game Dad, first, go watch Gary and Doug versus the World from spring because we played the Axis. The World played a very, very good KJF. KGF
KG.
rather KGF, and it was a very very close game. So they easily could have won that game. There's no doubt about that. And we're looking at some of those options for we're always trying to find like the next thing. And I think one of the things that we're going to get into is a KGF.
I think it also depends on the version you play. Um,
That's true.
I don't know that I have ever seen a KGF for the Allies in 42 second that's been effective. Um, I'm just trying to think, but it seems like it's more viable in Anniversary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. Okay, you ready to get into this? Let's get into this.
good.
I'm hoping my presets here have worked. Let's find out. Oh my god. Here we go. Hey, all right. But I'm in the wrong spot. Hold on, let me come back here. We were talking before the show and we end up on the wrong slide here. We're going to come back to that one in a second. Yes, no? Yes, yes.
If I
Yes.
had questions about it.
Here we go. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about this real quick. What happened to the Thorpe Thump? I heard no mention of it in this tournament. So the Thorpe Thump was developed for 1942 second edition, and it's a very powerful kill Japan first strategy. The version that we play in. Let me just say it this way: we play a version of it in the anniversary edition. That was a terrible way to say that. Let me try that one more time. That was terrible. Anniversary has a different setup, of course. And so we play a modified version of the Thorpe Thump that is better suited for the anniversary edition. So I wouldn't call it the same as the Thorpe Thump, but it is pretty similar. So, but it's hard to call it that because it's different enough that it's not the same exact movement because the layout of the map is different. That's really the big difference. But that's a good question. Before we start, do we have a membership goal? Man, you guys are something else. Okay, so right now I'm planning to give away one prize. Okay, I'll give you a goal here. Let's hold on. You guys make me crazy.
Did you even know how many members there are off the top of your head?
Right now, when we started today, there were 203 members, and Nathan made 204, right? Because I had to set it up for the prize wheel because I was just looking at it. So right now we got 204. We get to 250, right? We're at 204 now. We get to 250, and I'll do 3 prizes. I'll do one of the global maps, and then I've got a diplomacy kit that is actually very, very cool that Tom Haver sent us, which is fantastic. And what's the third thing?
You got one of those prizes that didn't go to anybody?
Oh my God. Yeah. Yes. I'll find something. Yeah, I have some diplomacy stuff. Oh, what am I talking about? I got another copy of 1942 second edition. So we'll do that. And if you want, I'll sign it. I'll sign any one of the things for any part of it. And there's 10 from Todana. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate that. And there's 10 from David Whittenfield. Holy cow, guys. You guys are... It's an embarrassment of riches out here, my friends. I appreciate the support. You guys are fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, so I love this energy, but we need to move into the game here. So
maybe we should name the anniversary version of the KJF like the Thompson Thwap or something like that. I don't know, like come up with some other name.
Sure, we'll work on it. That's another 10 from Tracy. Thank you very much. You guys are absolutely insane. You guys are crazy people. And I've just been informed by my lovely bride / accountant that we're now at 250.
It took all of about 48 seconds.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you very much, friends. We're going to have some prizes. Okay. That's awesome. So 250 is a week goal at this rate. Okay. So I didn't want to talk about this until later, but since you guys are already in it, let's talk about it. We're going to be running a crowdfunding campaign to help us pay for our coverage of the 2026 events. So we've got a lot of things coming up. We're going to talk more about it as we know more. But when we get probably 2 months from now, 2.5 months from now, we'll be looking at getting a crowdfunding campaign. And that'll have prizes and there'll be sponsors that are involved. And some of it will be simple things like, we'll send you some stickers, or you can just put some money in because you want to support the craziness that we're doing around here. And that's all fantastic. Others at the higher levels will be, lunch at Battlefront Dayton, or special events, or the opportunity to play with us over video chat, things like that. So we absolutely want to do all that. And we're going to get to all that. But stand by for more information about that. So we're researching which platforms to use and how to make it work and all of that. So, but if you got feedback about if you've done that kind of thing before, or you know about it, feel free to let us know and reach out. Okay. Nitro says 300 for another global map. Okay, sure. We're at, how many are we at, baby? She's got headphones on. She can't hear me. The global map. The global map. Not 2 copies of, not Europe and Pacific. We're talking about the signed map. So if we get to 300, I don't even know what to do with you guys. If we get to 300, I'll send another global map out to somebody. All right. And with that, let's get into the game. All right.
About the game.
Right. Let's talk about the game. Jeez. I love the energy. Thank you very much. Let's get to some content here. All right. No, you're absolutely right, Craig T. Even if a small percentage of the gift memberships re-up, that's fantastic. So we love it. Thank you very much. Okay. There will be a Gear Force One sticker. I will design one for everybody. Okay. So where did we, so let's, I want to think about where the game went sideways for the Axis. Okay. And I think this is where it started. Okay. On Germany's first turn, they had a fighter survive the assault in C Zone 12. It had 2 moves left in it. But instead of moving it over to Libya, along with all of the units, they landed in Morocco. Okay. And they said as much in the video that this was a mistake on their part. Totally fine. Happens to the best of us. But this was the World Championship Finals. So it's our job to exploit those mistakes, right? And so we immediately turned and took advantage of that and moved into Libya. We're going to talk more about the heroes of Tripoli shortly. Put a pin in that. But what was the right choice here? The right choice is, of course, to have moved the fighter to Libya and then use the transport to move a guy in a tank or maybe a guy in the AA gun. We've seen that before. And then the rest of the units to Libya to make sure that the U.S. doesn't have the ability, or rather the UK doesn't have the ability to jump into that space, right? Now, if you have both fighters survive, that means that one of those fighters in that fight has spent 3 of its 4 available moves, and it must land in Morocco. In that case, then I think this is the right choice, right? But you're abandoning Libya, right? So you send everything out of Libya and into Morocco, including the transport. And the UK is almost certainly, if they are paying attention, they're going to step in and they're going to kill those 2 guys in Libya. But you're still going to have a lot of force to be able to go back into Libya, right? And you'll be able to at least, and then of course your fleet is still there, and you can move into Libya, you can move into Egypt, you can probably take both of them. I'm guessing Italy goes into Egypt, and then Germany steps into Libya, and so on. So now you start rolling through North Africa again. But I will say that in this position, one of the things that we absolutely talked about at the table was whether or not to let the UK hit Morocco on UK 1, because we still have that transport in C Zone 1 up there by Eastern Canada. It can bring a guy in a tank. The bomber can get down from the UK. The fighter can get over there from Egypt. Of course, we're going to lose all or most of those units. We probably would retreat with the bomber, I'm guessing. But then the Americans can step over, and with the 2 transports and the bomber, and if the UK had also moved into Libya, the bombers that are coming across the Atlantic can also hit that. So you can wipe all of that out pretty quickly. So it's a tricky situation to and we had this happen in one of our early games where we took 1 hit in that fight, and I chose to lose the fighter that had only 1 move left and leave the destroyer in 12 so that the fighter that remained could, and all of the rest of the units could get out of Morocco and get to Libya. And I thought that was, I got a lot of flack for it. Like everybody thought that was a crazy thing. But to me, it was more tactically sound because I didn't then have to try to defend Morocco, Algeria with everything. So to me, I don't know. Doug, what do you think about this? I've been rambling on for a while. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, it was just again a mistake. We all make them. We made mistakes in every game we played, but we were able to capitalize on this. And hitting Libya went really well for us. And then, as we know the rest of the story, for those who've seen the video, things went sideways for them in North Africa. So, yeah, I mean, it was an opportunity that we had, and we wanted to seize it. And Gary tends to be a little more aggressive than I am, but we were both like, yeah, let's do this. Like, let's try to set them back in North Africa as much as we can and slow them down as much as we can by getting rid of as much as we can. Is kind of
Right.
our idea. So
yeah, absolutely. So again, right? So they made this early mistake, and our job now was to try to exploit it, right? And so how do we do that? Well, with the heroes of Tripoli, these
That's right.
guys. I love these guys. I want a movie made about these units. Okay, let me just say that. I'm gonna send it out to all my Hollywood friends. I don't know anybody lives. No, I don't know many people that live in Hollywood. And so here's what happened. So we went into Libya. We had 3 infantry, a tank, and a fighter. Right. They're defending now with just the 2 infantry and the artillery. Right. And so we are 95% to take this. Here they go. And of course, they have no trouble doing that. But now here come the Italians. They want a piece of these guys. They come in with the infantry, the artillery, the fighter, and the battleship and the cruiser shot. And their odds of holding this space, our valiant heroes' odds of holding this space, only 19%. They don't care. They don't care. They go ahead and do it. They don't care. They're not afraid, right?
Yeah,
But
they
now here comes the
retreated.
Germans.
Fighter
Huh?
left. Yeah, we got the 2 land units, and they had to retreat with the fighter because they only hit
Right. The
us
fighter
once.
survived and ran away like a coward. Flew away. Fine, whatever. Here comes the Germans. They've got 3 infantry. They got 2 tanks. Their odds of now holding the space, 0.6%. They don't care. They don't care. They do it anyway. No problem. They level the playing field and they make a desert. And they call it peace. That is remarkable. Okay. Now, I will absolutely agree. This was luck.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, 0.6%. Right. These things happen. They're infrequent. And so what ends up happening here is they made a mistake, right? And then that mistake got compounded by some extraordinary luck, right? In a really inopportune spot, right? Of all the places to have a 1% loss, this was probably the worst spot for them to have done it, right? So this was hard, and this is what set up this position. So this was the end of the UK's second position, right? Everything was dead. There was and the Germans had flown away. So now what does the UK have to do? We're not in danger of losing our capital. There's no ground units in North Africa. We don't want there to be a bunch of units in North Africa. That's what led us to this. Now, as I said in the video, we saw this. This happened to us. Let me just say it that way. This happened to us in round 2 of this tournament. And we had thought about doing it, but we weren't on fire for it. But after seeing how round 1 had played out, we were like, okay, this is absolutely the right move. And they bought this transport. The Italians bought a second transport, which is dangerous.
Yeah, the opportunity presented itself, and yeah, it's like, hey, we need to build those 2 bombers and take that fleet out, because you don't see there being no Axis units in Africa at the beginning of UK2. Like, that's just not heard of. Like, I don't. Again, Gary's right. Like, it's the final of the World Championship, but I still really felt, and we talked about this with Dave Mike. Like, I felt bad for them at that battle, because it's just like, I mean, you can't. You go into a battle with 99.5%, you just assume it's going to be a slam dunk, and you don't even think about the idea of losing it. And it's just like, I mean, they just couldn't hit, and Gary just kept hitting, and
yeah.
yeah.
So in a lot of our videos, as often as possible, when there's like a key battle like this one was, I try when I can to flip to the raw footage from Gen Con, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it's available, sometimes it's not. I did have really good footage of this piece, of this role. Unfortunately, I couldn't really play it for you all because I would have had to have bleeped every other word. It would there was much flailing and screaming and banging on the table, and I don't blame them. I would have been exactly the same way. And so sadly, no, we weren't able to bring you that piece. Otherwise, it would have just been a boop for the minute and a half or 4 minutes, or I'm sure it felt a lot longer to Dave and to Mike there. But yes, this was a tough beat for them.
Yeah.
So did the statistical anomalies, there's a good question back here. I'm sorry, I missed it, but the question was, did the statistical anomalies help the Allies more than the Axis in this game? I think that's probably fair to say. I don't think that this particular battle, I don't think the loss in Tripoli was the decider for the game. I don't. And I think that the idea that there was another path for the Axis to continue to move forward and win here is absolutely true. That's absolutely true. It didn't help their cause for sure, because it was going to make it much more difficult for them to get the money that they were going to need, particularly the money away from the UK that they were going to need to be able to be successful. So I don't know that there was. Oh, here it is. So yeah, Dan, they did. We had a 1% battle of our own, but it happened in East Poland.
Yeah,
So we went into East.
it wasn't as significant or strategic of a location. The
Right.
battle wasn't as important.
Right.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the Long Island run. So this is, again, we opted to buy the 2 bombers on round 2, and we knew that this is where we were going to go with it. And calculators later tell us we got 93% chance to sink this fleet. And the question is, and I think Todana said something about it just a minute ago in the chat, right? How could the Italians escape? Could the Italians have escaped this or defended this in some way? And I think the answer is probably no. Let me go back a slide and see if I can explain why. Yeah. Okay. So this would have been their position coming into Italy 3, right? So I hope that this makes sense to everybody. So UK's bought the 2 bombers. Oh my God, here come the RAF is coming. We need to solve for protecting the Italian fleet. So they've only got 9 IPCs because they were down Libya, right? So they could buy a destroyer, right? I guess that would probably have been their best option, would have been buy a destroyer and then use the 2 transports to land guys in Libya. Maybe that's their best answer. I think if you add that extra destroyer, I think we still go after it, because that means that you didn't take out our destroyer that was in C Zone 15, right?
Exactly.
So our destroyer comes with 3 bombers and 2 fighters. So I think we still get there. The alternative would have been to get out of range of the bombers. And the only way that they could do that was to move into C Zone 15, kill the destroyer that was there, use one of their transports to take away the landing zone that would have been Egypt, and the other landing zone that would have been Transjordan. But because we put the destroyer there, they're not going to have the offshore shot. We're standing there with 4 units. How many guys do we have there?
4 or 5, 3.
Yeah, we're there with 5 guys. So they're only going to be able to get there with an infantry and a tank. That's not going to be enough to take out these 5 guys, almost certainly, right? So I don't know that there was an escape for them here. And even if they'd have had 10 IPCs or even 12, 12, I guess, buys them another cruiser. But I don't know that that's what I would do. I don't know. Doug, what do you think? Is there a way for the Italians to have escaped here?
I think given the situation, no, I don't think so. I mean, the best scenario would have been just different, right? They would have captured more territory, had more money, saved money, drop a carrier, probably have to put a German fighter on the carrier, something like that. But in the given scenario, no, I don't think that there's anything they could have done. I think the destroyer is the best option.
Take Gibraltar. Okay, so the Italians, instead of landing in Libya, they move over to 13. They take Gibraltar.
Yeah, it doesn't let the fighters get there.
Right, the fighters can't reach. The 3 bombers can still get there.
Yeah, which isn't
but
enough.
The fighters can't make it. But yeah, but now you're out of position. I don't know. That's a good thought, Carl. I hadn't considered that. I would be worried about a 1-2 from the U.S. and then from the UK and then the U.S. maybe. Um, and then what do you build, right? What do you build in that scenario? Are you just building land units? Are you offloading guys into? Um, are you offloading guys into Morocco? I don't know. I mean, you got to drop one guy in Gibraltar, so I guess you could put two guys in Morocco, Algeria. Um, I don't know. Yeah. So, Dave, if we had Transjordan, where do you land the bombers? You couldn't get Transjordan because we had 5 guys there, and you only had one transport that could have made an assault on the space. So we would have always had Transjordan as a landing zone. That's an interesting idea. Could we have split the fleet to prevent the total destruction? I don't think so. I think we would have just split the air units
Yeah.
to. Um,
Or we would have sent all the air units after the what we thought was the weakest target, ensured its destruction, and then went back the following round and cleaned up.
yeah. Yeah. I
So
mean, presumably you split it up with the battleship and a transport, and then the other one is the 2 cruisers with a transport. Or maybe you're using the destroyer, you're buying the destroyer, keeping it with the battleship in one transport, putting 2 cruisers and a transport in, say, Sea Zone 15 when you take Egypt.
yeah,
That's not a yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. That's a fair point. If things had gone as like a normal game would have, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah. So the other way to do this is to would have been to wait around and move all 3 bombers to Moscow or to Caucasus, right? And then it doesn't matter where you go, right? These bombers are going to get you, um, but you do get another round of getting guys to North Africa or to Transjordan or whatever. So yeah,
yeah. They just need a few more units in North Africa. We just kind of beat them to the punch.
yeah. Um, yeah, so this is a good question. BattleBots, we love the BattleBots. Um, so it didn't work out here, but thoughts on the turn one Italy transport in general? It's a good question. We we've bought the Italy transport on turn 2 before, and I think we bought it once on turn 3. I don't think we've ever bought it on turn 1 because we felt like it was more important to start taking down the Egyptian or the UK forces that are there. So we usually almost immediately go in and start swinging at things to try to take Egypt because we want to I made this video I don't know 5 years ago about like the core mechanic of Axis and Allies, right? Is the Allies have more money, the Axis have more stuff, right? And so the objective of the for the Axis is to as quickly as possible overcome that economic disadvantage, right? Before they run out of stuff, or before the Allies can build more stuff than they've got, right? Or to get it into better positions. So for us, like it's more important to immediately start chewing up that money than it is to play slower and try and for like a slower build, right? I don't know if that makes sense. So I don't. What do you think, Doug? I'm not sure.
Yeah, the Italian transporter around one is growing on me. But I've had the same inclination. If you build a transport, you have to leave your fleet in 14, and that means you can't hit Egypt and Transjordan. So I do think it depends a little bit on what the allied player does. If they bail on Egypt and you can walk in and get it, or go in if they leave one infantry and you can attack with 2 infantry in the fighter, because the fighter can go 14, Libya, Egypt, and back to Libya, then I think I would be more inclined to build the transport on round one, pick up Egypt, get your economy going, and get that extra transport in early. But um, if you need to get moving with the Italians, which I feel like is the feel, like I gotta get this going. But I actually the more I've thought about it, the more I think Italy has time usually, and they can afford to sit in C zone 14 on round one. Because if it's not round one, it's round two. And if it's not round two, it's round three. If you build the transport, you have to sit in C zone 14 for a round to defend it. So I've been liking the idea more and more doing it on round one, because then you have that transport the rest of the game, hopefully.
Yeah, I agree. I think that some of it is and all of this, I should say, is always going to be situationally dependent,
Yeah,
right? Like
exactly.
if Russia sends its bomber to China, right, and it's out of range of the Mediterranean, and the UK sends its bomber and the American bomber all moves to the Pacific, well, I'll buy the transport on round one, right, or round two, and leave it
Yeah.
in 14 on, without any worry, right? There's always moments where things are going to be like that. But in general, I think that it's trickier. Um, yes, Italy needs an aircraft carrier. Yes, I like it.
Yeah, when Charles, when, yes, they can. Um, well, no, they with air, but not, they don't have a transport that can hit it on round two. Um, the transport isn't close enough, but they can hit it with air, right? Because the transport starts in 62 in this version. So it's 62, 61 to 36, then 36 to 35, which is the Indian Ocean.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
When Charles and I won the anniversary tournament, I don't remember how many games we were the Axis off the top of my head, but I know in one of those games we built an Italian carrier. Charles was running the Italians, and he built a carrier, and it worked out very well for us.
Well, he drinks a lot during the day, though, so I don't know. I mean, he's from Wisconsin. I mean, come on. Oh, we got a new member. Thank you very much.
Charles, not Carl. Charles.
Charles
I'm
also
not
drinks a lot during the day, and he's from Las Vegas. Oh my God, are you?
It took me a second when you said he was from Wisconsin. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm not talking about Battlefront Dayton. I'm talking when
Oh yeah,
Charles and I won the anniversary tournament years ago. I don't remember what year it was offhand. 2000 or something like that. 01.
yeah.
2021, I mean, not 01. Yes, we did. That's right.
We did. That's right. Charles Mahalik, another one of the greats out there for sure. Thanks for being here, brother. Okay, so one last thing I wanted to say about the heroes of Tripoli. Hold on, let me say this real quick. Total losses. Those 4 guys that went in there, they had fighter assistance on the first one. Those 4 guys took out 11 infantry, or took out 11 enemy land units.
Wow, that's brutal.
Yeah. Anyway, songs should be sung. Every one of those guys is knighted, by the way, posthumously knighted. There's no doubt. So this is where it ended at UK3. We're solid into Egypt, and at this point now we're struggling to relocate all of these land units. Right? Like we've got more stuff down there than we need. So
we actually discussed if keeping the 2 fighters was the right decision or not. I mean, it worked out well long term for defense, but if we would have split the difference or kept the bombers, it would have changed the game in different ways. We wouldn't have had the fighters, but we would have had that attack power. Could have opened up some interesting possibilities for us. But
the lack of a UK bomber ends up biting us a little bit when we needed to clear out some land units. So obviously it wasn't determinative of the game, but there was a moment, I think it was, I don't know, probably UK 4, where, you know what, we could really use a bomber here. But it didn't work out that way. Okay. So Japan 5, right? So there's a lot of back and forth here about whether or not we were going to get through round 5 and that was going to be the end, or if we were going to play through a 6th round. Now I've looked at the clock and I'm fairly certain, as certain as I can be, that we could have easily played through a 6th round. But they were uncertain, and so they wanted to make sure that if we only got through 5, that their victory cities were going to be secure. So Mike and Dave, they were together on it, decided to attack the American fleet here, and we know how that ended. And so I wanted to look at this position and see if there was a way to successfully defend all of the Asian victory cities here on J5. Okay. So what would have been the best way to defend all these victory cities moving forward, like at least for this round? Okay. So I want to look at this position. So again, the Americans are here. They're on the doorstep of Manila. The UK has units in Burma. They've got a tank here. Can they stop any victory cities from being lost on this turn? Okay. So first things first, got to protect Hong Kong. Okay. So the easiest thing to do would be to step into French Indochina, but that's risky because there is the possibility that the Russians would be able to open it up for the UK. Okay. So the better way to do it, I think, is to have sent the 2 tanks and the 3 bombers after the land units. Right. So they've got 3 infantry there, 3 infantry there and a tank. You're 90% or better to flatten all of these guys. And you're taking any hits that you get in return to the bombers because you want your tanks left over in Burma, right? Because we want to try to stop this Russian tank from coming through and trying to make any noise, right? So, and if you're even mildly successful here, there are now no tanks within 2 spaces of any victory city. So you're solid, right? You're solid. So that's step 1. Okay. Next. So this is blocked. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. Oh, no.
If they have 1 tank left, the Russian tank can obviously attack it on a 50-50 out of India. But if they have 2 tanks left,
right,
Russia's chances of can opening that are very slim.
Right. Agreed. Okay. And even if they did, right, the tanks that are in Calcutta can't reach Hong Kong.
Yeah, they just get to French Indo.
Right. But it's worth doing it the way that I'm describing here in case there is a 6th turn, because now you've still prevented the UK from getting to within 2, even if there's a 6th turn. Okay. So now what do you do out here for Manila? You got this giant flotilla of guys and fighters in the Caroline Islands, 6 bombers in range. It's a mess, right? This is a mess for the Japanese. First thing you got to do is you've got to wipe out these guys in Sea Zone 60 because they've got a path to Tokyo. They've got a path to Shanghai. They've got a path to Hong Kong from there. So you got to block this up. So I send in a battleship and all of the fighters, all 8 fighters are going into this battle to make sure that it absolutely destroys everything that's
there. Everything, the one destroyer.
Right. Now, of course, the sub is going to
submerge,
right? Which is fine. It doesn't matter. But what's important is that you've blocked the sea zone so they can't make a combat move through this space. And you're there with the battleship. So now what do you do with Manila? You send the rest of the fleet into Sea Zone 50. Okay, not the fighters, just all of the surface ships. So that's going to be a battleship. That's going to be 4 carriers and the 3 transports. The 3 transports are coming in with 4 infantry. That's the 3 that are in Fukin, the 1 that's in Buryatia that's not in this picture. There's also an artillery up there and the tank that's up there. So you're going to leave the artillery behind. You're going to bring the tank. You're going to grab the AA gun out of Tokyo. In this instance, the AA gun is more important than that artillery because the Americans are going to be coming with 8 fighters, right? They've got 4 land units. They got 8 fighters, right? So you move in there with 4 infantry, a tank, an AA gun, and then land all 8 fighters in Manila. Okay. And if you're able to do that, on the Americans' combat move, on US 5, they can't get through 50. If they try to go into Manila, they've got a 0.2% chance of taking the space. Oh, and by the way, any bombers that survived Burma are also in there for extra hits. Okay. So the Americans, if they want to, they can come down and they can take Borneo. Okay, cool. But it's not a victory city. If you're down to economics, then yeah, then you're the Americans. You're probably taking Okinawa. You're taking Burma, right? That's what you're probably going to do on that turn. And then of course sink all of the Japanese fleet, so that on a turn 6, this is where this all falls apart. Of course, if there is a 6th turn from here, the Americans are just going to run over and take everything. Well, they've only got 2 transports, so they can only take 2 victory cities because they can only get to 2 places at the same time. But so this is the most viable defense on round 5 that I can come up with. I looked and looked and looked to see if there was a way to stand up to the Americans on a 6th turn. The best that I could come up with is giving up on Manila, blocking 50 and 60, right? Blocking both of these, camping the fleet in 61 with more guys, bringing those guys down, building land units so that you could shuttle through again. Generally, and Doug said this, I think, last week, like you almost always, as often as possible, you want them to have to attack you you want their fleet to have to attack your fleet, because both fleets are almost always going to have more fighters than anything else. Fighters defend on a 4, they attack at a 3. Pretty straightforward math. So if you can, you always want to try to make them attack you. And in this instance, this is kind of the perfect example of this, right? Because Japan opted to attack the American fleet and it didn't go well. But if they'd have pivoted and made the Americans attack, they could have made it impossible for them to pick up another victory city on the 5th turn. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think you captured it. I probably it was a tough game situation because it wasn't clear how long we were going to go. And I think if you use the fighters to protect the victory cities instead of attack the American fleet, it's probably a better path. Is kind of the short version. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's why I was queuing up so many bombers, because they had 8 fighters. So I have the 3 in the Solomon, the 3 in Western, going to build 3 more in Western. So I'd have 9 bombers, hopefully within range of their fleet, depending on what we capture inland in Asia. A landing zone is necessary for some of those. But the idea is they have the 8 fighters, and I need to overcome that with the bombers in order to be able to attack their fleet on the last round.
Yeah, there's actually something else that's interesting now that I'm looking at it. If you do this correctly, right, and you
Mm.
stop the Allies from taking French Indochina, then the bombers that are in Western United States can't hit Sea Zone 50, because they have to land in their primary landing zone is going to be French Indochina. But if you don't control it, they can't land there. And because the Americans opted not to take the Caroline Islands, they don't have a place to land. So now you're getting into Sea Zone 50. You've got to get a battleship and 3 carriers. That's not that hard. You can do it with your battleship, a cruiser, and your 3 bombers. Almost certainly will do the job. But your other 3 bombers without this landing zone are just collecting dust. I mean, I
Well,
suppose. Go ahead.
what I think, I'm trying to think of this. So we're talking about Japan's move here. Yeah, I mean, I think what would happen is those bombers wouldn't be in the. You just use the 8 fighters to help clear the sea zone. You don't need the 3 bombers. You have 8 fighters, 3 bombers.
Right.
Uh,
What that means is that you're even less likely to go into the victory
oh,
city,
Philippines. Yeah, yeah, I gotcha. Okay,
right?
yeah.
Because you're going to have other forces. I mean, if they weren't going to go to Manila, then yeah, of course they're going to be part of destroying um, the fleet. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, with seven land units and 8 fighters, I mean, again, what was my percentage at the Philippines anyway? What did you say, 0.2% or something? Like,
yeah, right,
yeah,
right. So
I'm
it's a
not.
no go. Right, you're not going to go at it because that's silliness.
Exactly. You're going to
What
wipe
you're
the
likely
fleet
to
out,
do,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. If they do that, what do you do?
Well, I think you destroy their fleet.
Right.
And again, it depends on the situation in the game. Like maybe you take Borneo, or maybe you just move into C Zone 50 if you can defend your fleet there, because then they have to spread their fighters out. Maybe you probably blow up what's in 50 and you move to 61, because then you can hit well, I guess they wouldn't have any more C units to block, so you don't need to be in 61, assuming they don't build any more C units. But you can hit Shanghai, Hong Kong, Manila, or Tokyo, and then they have to divide up those 8 fighters as best they can, or try to hold 2 of the cities or 3 of the cities. So I think that's kind of the plan there, is you just make them spread those fighters out in order to open up something.
Agreed.
You have a shot at 4 cities, and you know, you have 8 fighters, 4 land units, and the bombers backing you up.
Do you change strategy during a game? Oh, I mean, it's a classic question, right? Like you go into the locker room at halftime and you're down, and you completely throw out the playbook and start again. Yeah, I mean, depending on the situation that you're in, you'd have to adapt to the board state.
Yeah, it's like yes and no. I think if you completely do a 180, that can often be disastrous for you. But we alluded to it in a few of the other videos or live streams. So in one of our games, Japan, I did, what it was, it 5 or 6 attacks on round one. They're all over 90%, and I lost 3 of them. Or was it 4 of them? I lost 3 or 4 of those 6 attacks that are 90% or
Yeah,
more.
we lost in
So
UK. Yeah, we lost in Yunnan. We lost in Sea Zone 35 with the Indian fleet, and we lost Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor, yeah.
We lost all of those.
So I actually don't think I lost all in C Zone 35. I just lost 2 fighters there, right? Or
Right,
something like that.
right.
Like,
Yeah,
I mean, I
that's
started
exactly
the
what it
battle.
was. Yeah,
Yeah.
which put us at
So,
risk because the destroyer from 15 could have come through with the
yeah,
fighter from Egypt and the fighter from Australia, and they did swing at us with it. They and I think destroyed the carrier, and so
maybe they
we
got
did escape with the battleship.
yeah.
So
So
yeah, I mean
it was catastrophic for Japan on round 1. And so then I literally looked at Gary and I said, you're gonna have to take Moscow. Like we don't have, like, at the end of J1, there's like no path to victory in the Pacific, basically. I mean,
it
we
was
lost a carrier, we lost 3 or 4 fighters. Like, it was just a total disaster.
yeah.
I don't remember the Pearl. I'd have to look at I think Gary has the recording. If I ended up retreating with, my bomber and a fighter left, but I mean, I didn't kill all the American units there. I know that. And we
Yeah, they
didn't
saw
get
the
the
carrier when it was over.
yeah, they had their carrier in 53, and
It was
and the Flying
disgusting.
Tiger was left in China. So we had to significantly pivot our strategy there, um, because I went into total defense mode in with Japan, and my goal was to save 3 of my 4 victory cities. I was basically like, I'm going to have to concede one. I can't. If I try to defend all of them, we will lose the game. So my thought process changed very significantly, and we had to pivot our strategy for that game. So I think you can do it, but the earlier it happens like that, the better you are. And it wasn't like a total 180. It was more just like, okay, Japan's going to have to hunker down here, which they always have to against America anyway. So,
Yeah. This was an interesting thought. I entertained this as well. Super Laser 6000 was Japan's only move here to bum rush Midway and to try to threaten to take Hawaii or San Francisco. So Midway wouldn't have worked um, because the the fleet can hit them, right? The fleet and all 6 bombers can get there. So they could take Midway, of course, but then the fleet would have got sunk and they'd have just been, you know, they'd live there. They'd live on Midway for the rest of time. But I did think about everybody moving up to 64 and landing in Alaska. So in that instance, The 6 bombers can still get you, but the fighters
Fighters.
can reach too, but the surface fleet can't.
Yeah.
But the problem is that the U.S. they come in, they block 57, right? They come in and they block 57 with anything, right? A cruiser, and then they just build 9 guys and land all the fighters in San Francisco, and that's the ball game.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get into it. So
I wondered, I was really trying to think why we put that destroyer in 52, other than it just being a mistake. Was there a rational reason? And the only thing I came up with was we could have blocked season 65 with it if they went to 64. You could go from 52 to 57 to 65, which is the
right.
one in the top right corner there.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're right. You'd have to block that one too.
Yeah, I
You'd
was
have to
like,
block
maybe
60. Yeah.
yeah, maybe I put that destroyer there so we could block 65 because we didn't think they were going to attack my fleet. That was the only thing that I could come up with.
Yeah,
If they
that's a better thought than I had, which was like being able to get back to 62 so they couldn't just like build something behind. Um,
yeah, I
but
don't
yeah,
know.
1, 2,
It
3,
was
4.
probably just fatigue. It was
Probably.
fatigue, and 65 could have worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
I bumped it into that. Yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea. All right. Um,
One other, actually, I do want to talk about this real quickly. One other thought that we had was when I was in 46 and I sent the transport to pick up the East Indies, I second guessed when we were looking at the video. I don't remember if we talked about this during the game, is maybe America should have went to Borneo to 49 and then let Britain, who was in 34 at the time, come to 38 with their infantry and artillery. Instead, we sent them into Ukraine. But yeah, Britain could have come out of 34, picked up the infantry artillery that were in Egypt and hit the one guy in East Indies. So America could have taken Borneo and Britain could have taken the East Indies, potentially. And I do wonder if that would have been a better. I mean, they still would have picked off the transport, even both of them, but it would have been hard pressed for Japan to recapture Borneo because they would have had to commit transports, and unless they're moving their entire fleet there, those transports are unsustainable. So I wonder if
I will.
that's
I did think about that, and I will say that I think we still did it right in terms of you know the Americans taking the East Indies. I think that was good. But what occurred to me later was we could have sent the cruiser with it because now we've got a shot at one of their bombers because the bomber had to come from Fukin to take it out. And
okay.
that cruiser is not a make or break in that fleet. I mean, it's nice 3 to have. That's cool. And if it happens that we have an offshore shot, which is pretty unlikely because there's almost always something in the way, um, it would have been, I think it would have been more useful out in C Zone 38 to defend the transport because now maybe they send 2 bombers, right? And that's a bomber that wouldn't have been going into Ningxia,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know, just a thought. But I do think that I think if the Americans take Borneo, then it might have drawn the fleet down, but that would have kept them out of Buryatia, which would have been nice. And but now if that full Japanese fleet is in Borneo and we're still in 46,
Well, I
we're
think that
not
was
in a
when I
position.
moved 51, right? Didn't I send the transport to 38 and move to 51 at the same time? I thought.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you'd send the transport to 38, and then where do you go from 46?
I think
52?
I don't think it changes. I wanted to be next to Manila so they couldn't block me
Ooh,
out.
you know what would have been nasty is 60. If they came down, if they were in 61 and they came down to 49, block 50 and land in 60. Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh,
Yeah, but
that
I
would
think
that'd been a
I
problem.
yeah, I think the order of operation was though I hit 38 and moved to 51 at the same time,
Right.
and then they pulled up to 62. But yeah, if they would have gone down, oh yeah, I would have totally boxed them out. Yeah.
Well, the move
I
to
would have
51 was a non-combat move.
Yeah, I'm saying it was on the same. I, I
Right,
think it was the same turn that I took 38, though. I
right.
took
So,
East Indies and non-commed the rest of the fleet to 51, right?
right. So I'm saying if you'd have taken Borneo and
Oh
then
yeah,
moved to 60, oh no, that would have been on the same turn. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that
yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense. You'd have
Okay,
had to wait
yeah.
for them to swing down. I understand. Okay, now you're right. Okay,
Like, are we
all
talking
right,
different languages? I don't know what's going on
all
here.
right, okay. Um, Couple questions real quick. What happens if China captures a factory? That factory is destroyed. If China captures China doesn't need a factory; they make their own guys, and they can't make anything other than infantry. So if the Japanese build a complex in China and it is liberated by any allied power, that factory is destroyed. Uh, I don't know. Can China capture AA guns? I would have to say yes. I don't know. I've never seen it happen. Has anybody seen this happen?
That's actually a good question. I don't know. I would assume it would become Chinese.
Right. And just function like a regular AA gun? That's a
Yeah,
good
they
question.
get to move it around.
I have to look that up. Um, was Japan in this position because they overcommitted land units for Asia a turn or two earlier? Um, Maybe. I think that might have been a contributing factor. I think part of it was that they lost a lot of land units in round one when they went into Yunnan. This is why we like the bid. Like this come all the way back to the very first choice, right, of the bid. I say in the intro of every one of the videos, the bid and the placement of those units can make a huge difference in the game. And this, I think, is one of those examples. We offered the Axis plus two. They accepted that. If they'd have pushed back and offered us three, we would have certainly have done that, because we would have gone into Yunnan with, I think, four infantry and the three fighters, which is usually what you need to make sure that you're in there and capturing the territory and moving on. So, um, so yeah. So I think it comes back to that. I think the shortage of land units put them in a position where they felt like they had to keep pushing, um, and keep dropping land units, which is what put them behind in the naval race. So we'll see. Can you give the bid to China? Yes, yes, you can.
I
Though I've never
was,
seen it.
I was, I always thought you could, but I was thinking you or Greg said you can't because technically their pieces aren't worth ICE PC value. So, like, if you had a bid of three, is a Chinese guy worth three IPCs? Like, would you put a Chinese guy in Yunnan for three IPCs? I thought it was announced at one of the tournaments that you cannot place the bid
Oh,
in China.
okay. Yeah, you're right. Greg says you cannot. Okay.
Okay,
Greg
I was
Smore is
thinking.
the tournament organizer for Gen Con. Um, I I've never seen that anybody try to do that, but the I have seen the bid go to the allies in this version of the game, but pretty
Yeah,
rarely. Um, so yeah. Um, we would have taken three, but lost the coin flip. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So you would have offered us, if you'd have won the flip, you'd have offered us Axis plus two, and we'd have said no. We don't want the Axis plus two. We want the Axis plus something. So we'd offer you the Axis plus three, and you'd have taken it and put the infantry in Borneo. Yeah. Um, yeah. So you can't place in China or as the Chinese. So when you're placing units that come from a bid, they have to go into territories that are natively controlled by that power, right? Or are currently occupied by the same power. So you can't put an American guy in Moscow, right? You can't put a German sub in C Zone 62, right? Like they always have to go in the same territories where you already have units. So yeah,
it's a good rule.
yes, it's a good rule because otherwise it would break the game.
Yeah, you could come up with some really crazy stuff.
Um, have you ever seen a factor go that's rare? I'm going to assume this is factory. factory goat that is rare but worked. Yeah. In the semifinal match with Dave and Mike, they dropped a factory in Manchuria, I think on, was that J4? They put that in there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
three, or
And then
maybe they
started,
built on three and they start building out of it in four or something. Yeah.
yeah, it was rare. That was an unusual, but it was tactically, it was absolutely the right thing to do. I think it was very, very good. In fact,
Yep.
that might have been the thing that one of the things that led to them winning that game. Um, yeah. So thoughts on the UK fighters having hit Archangel before returning to London? Yeah, one of the things that we could have done on the last round of play would have been to have the UK, as they were heading back to London, even the bomber that was in the UK could have gotten involved in that. They could have killed the infantry that was in Archangel, which would have allowed the Soviets to blitz through and have a pretty reasonable shot at taking Karelia back. In our replay here, they had 5 infantry and an AA gun, I think, in Karelia. So it could have been an option, but in reality, we didn't feel the need to risk it. Like, we wanted all of the units in London because we didn't want to risk losing London, and we didn't need the extra Victory City because we were already tied Victory City count wise, and we were up economically, and we were pretty sure that the Americans were going to be able to do, and the Russians and the British were going to be able to sweep through and pick up all the Victory Cities that we needed in Asia.
Yeah, we
We're still
figured
not
we were
wearing
going
the
to
same uniform.
get.
It's funny. Doug doesn't have a shirt that looks like this, but I have a shirt that looks like that.
Yes.
So
Yeah. This
I
is an
guess I'm the
accident.
one out of
Like,
uniform.
this is uniform, right? This is uniform.
Right, exactly. That was the shirt that we got at the 2023 World Championship.
Yeah.
Okay. I know there was a bunch of questions that were in here before. Is this so? This is a callback to the 2023 or 2024? 2023, I think. So we had another story like this where there was a Russian sub that kept fighting with a German sub. And it was just one of these things where it's just the two of them out there and they kept submerging when the other would attack. I thought it was funny. So I made a whole story about it in the game, in the retelling of it. And it was completely inconsequential to the game, but
Yeah.
it made me giggle. And so I'm
That,
glad that it stayed with you. But
yeah.
but from an impact point of view, the heroes of Tripoli were much more impactful there.
I feel like our Russian sub was heroic, but they weren't heroes, if that makes sense.
Yes,
They're very,
that's
very brave.
yes.
They didn't accomplish anything but getting themselves sunk.
Would there have been a 2-bomber purchased by the UK in the first place if Germany hadn't built a carrier? That's a good question. I think that
In the first place, I'm not quite sure I
yeah.
understand. No, we
So
needed a factory in India.
on UK1, would we have bought? So on UK1, we bought a fighter, a couple guys, and the complex.
Complex, yeah. No, we would
Right.
not have bought two bombers because we needed the complex in India.
Right. We might have bought a carrier because we still had the cruiser. We might have bought a carrier and the complex
Mm-hmm.
and saved 3, I think, or maybe we'd have bought the guy. I'm not sure. And then started to build a fleet, probably in Zone 2.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, this is a big question. Any thoughts about having an ELO rating for Axis and Allies games? ELO ratings are very, very difficult for team games. Just ask the ACBL. They're the folks who administrate the bridge competitions internationally, or in North America, rather, which I guess I suppose is internationally. It's very difficult because partners change. So it's hard to put an ELO rating on a person. But what we've done is BGN has created a scoring system where there's an opportunity for people to earn BGN points by playing in different tournaments. And last year we launched it at Battlefront Dayton. So this is why Doug and Carl are the number one point holders in the BGN scoring system, because they had the most points at Battlefront Dayton. We hope to be able to expand that in 2025 and run the scoring system at Spring Gathering, at Gen Con, and at, of course, Battlefront Dayton in 2026. So the idea is that that scoring system, those points will accumulate over time and start to become a ranking system of their own. And some of it will be points will age off after a certain period of time. We're still working out all the details of it, but yeah. So it's ELO ratings are very hard. ELO, for anybody who doesn't know, ELO ratings are kind of like chess ratings, where you start with a certain amount and then you play against other people, and win, lose, your rating will change based on that. But those really only work well in single player or consistent team settings, right? So yes, a lot of people have given it thoughts, and there are many thoughts. I guess the answer to that question is, are there any thoughts about ELO ratings? Yes, there are many thoughts about ELO rating systems for Axis and Allies, but very, very difficult to implement.
I like the idea. I think that's the way to go personally. I think you simply overcome the team aspect, as if I'm in a game with Gary, like I get the points for winning the game, or I lose the points for losing the game. Gary would get the exact same points. If in a week Gary plays with somebody else, he would get points for winning that game, or he would lose points for losing that game. So you literally just take the points and give them to both people on the team, or you take them away from both people who are on the team. So I think that's the way to do it, because
Okay.
you're
Right. I hear that, and I completely understand it. And this is the trouble with that system is now you want to use this for rankings, right? You want to use it to seed a bracket, right? So ELO ratings usually start at 1,500. Top players are 3,000. Low, I think, is 400. So let's say I'm a 700 rated player and you're a 2,200 rated player. So together we're a 2,900 rated team, right? So we're going to be seeded as a 2,900 rated team, right? But then I never say anything while the game goes on, and you run the whole game. And what in reality, you're a much higher rated player, right? There's sandbagging opportunities, and there's places where people can game that pretty badly, and you end up with really, really lopsided matchups. And it gets, or you end up with somebody like, let's say you and I play together for 5 years, and I never say anything the whole time that we play, but you're a really great player, and we win all the time. So my rating is artificially 2,400. And now I go to play with somebody else, and I'm a 2,400 rated player, but I can't win anymore because I'm playing against people that I'm not competitive with. And so you end up like, this person now leaves because they get really distressed because they can't win. I used to work for the ACBL, and this is an area that we used to deal with all the time. So the only other way to do it is to rate pairings separately, right? So I don't have an individual rating. I have a rating when I play with Doug. I have a rating when I play with Carl. I have a rating when I play with Robin. And when I play with them, this is our rating, right? And so each pairing then has its own unique identifier. But good luck with the paperwork, right? And good luck, like, it also, when you try to do that, and we try to do this at the ACBL, when you run this down, now you end up with people that, like, I don't want to play with them anymore, but if I leave and I don't have anybody that my rating, I got to go back to the beginning, right? Now, like, I want to play with Jamie. She's fantastic, but she won't play with me because we don't want to start a new team, because we'd have to start at the beginning, because our rating we drop to 1,500 again. It just gets tricky. But I would love to be able to solve that problem. If it's there are a lot of games that would benefit from a solid two-person or a lot of partner games that would benefit from a solid answer to that particular problem for sure.
I just don't think other point systems necessarily. Every system has its pros and cons, and they all have
Oh,
drawbacks like that.
yeah,
Um, you know, you rack up a ton of points, and then you're playing with someone who's not as good.
right. Right, that's true. Can anybody join a tournament or is it invite only? No, absolutely. When you go to any one of these events, all you need is a chip and a chair. So at Spring Gathering, you need to make a reservation with Greg. They're not open yet. And that event is, I think, maxes out at 40 people or so. So that one, I'm sure will probably sell out very quickly. It did last year. Gen Con is much larger, of course. And that one you need to buy a badge, which is now on sale, by the way, at gencon.com. Make sure that you swing over there and pick up your badge. Um, Once you have a badge, then you'll need a ticket to the individual event that you want to play in. And in this instance, it'll be an Access Allies tournament. So if you want to play 42 second, you want to play the Classic. There's a Classic tournament that happens every year there. You want to play the anniversary event, which almost certainly in 2026 will be the World Championship again, or you can play in the Global Tournament. I think that's all of the ANA tournaments. I'm not sure, but I think that's probably it. But then there's a ton of other casual games. But all you really need is a ticket to get in. And but they're going to go on sale May 19th, May 17th, something like that. And make sure that you are paying attention when that happens because they sell out very, very quickly. Some of the bigger events do. So it's tricky. So it's fun. That you got to make sure that you get your badge, that you got that locked in, and then when the tickets go on sale, that you jump in and buy the tickets. At Battlefront Dayton, we ran what we called the first World Championship qualifiers, and we had basically what we did is we said, if you win one of our tournaments, we will get your ticket in advance for any of the corresponding Access and Allies tournaments, right? So if you won the 42nd edition tournament, we would get your ticket, not your badge, your ticket into the 1942 second edition tournament. So, for example, Doug and Carl won the anniversary tournament at Gen Con, and so we will be covering the cost of their ticket into the anniversary tournament at, no, I'm sorry. They won the anniversary tournament at Battlefront Dayton in November of last year, and so we'll be covering the cost of their ticket into the anniversary tournament at Gen Con in 2026. So, yeah. So we ran qualifiers, air quotes qualifiers for this. Let's come back up to the full screen here. We ran qualifiers, right? We called them qualifiers, but they were fun. Oh, I do not play bridge. I worked for them for about a year and a half, 2 years, but I do not play bridge. No. Do you play bridge? Do you not play bridge?
No, I don't know if I've ever played bridge in my life. I don't even know the
No,
first thing about it.
you'd know. You play spades?
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah. So bridge is basically spades, but the suits change.
Hmm.
You bid for suit changes.
Okay.
I mean, I know all the rules. I don't say I know all the rules. I know the rules for bridge, and I gun to my head, I could play it, but I can't play the. I couldn't play in a tournament because they've got very specific rules as to how to bid and when. They've got cards, and it's a whole thing. So, but I could play casually if I had to. Yeah. So yeah, Dave, I've never played in Indy with the same partner twice. Gen Con, by the way, is in Indianapolis. This year it is the July 30th through August 3rd, something like that.
Sounds right.
Oh yeah, Tracy wants to see the trophies. I'm curious. Did anybody see the Easter egg? I don't think anybody noticed. Nobody said anything in the comments, but this has been here the whole time.
Nice. So, mine is hanging on the wall over here. Let me get it.
He's off to go get it. Okay. Yeah. So these were designed to be hung on the wall. So he's got the little brackets and stuff. But and Greg did an amazing job with these. I think I think they look great. And it's nice to have Larry's autograph on it, and very, very cool. Yeah, there he is.
On the wrong
In case
direction.
anyone wants a shot.
Yeah, there he goes. It's got a lot of glare. Sorry.
No, you're
But
not.
yeah, the time and the care that he put into this was just incredible. Like it was, yeah, it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, he always does a great job, but these
Yeah,
were really special.
yeah. I mean, he literally hand makes the trophies every year. It's incredible. I might be over here for a while.
Yeah. Have you played A&A Zombies to have fun? And if so, what did you think of it? I haven't. This is a little embarrassing, actually. I have played the Zombies game, but I had a hard time getting my brain around the rules for it. I couldn't figure out exactly what was supposed to be happening with the zombies, and were they supposed to migrate, or I couldn't figure out all of the rules for it. I will say what I did really like was the map for zombies. I thought it was a really cool map. They did a nice job with some of the graphics, and so I thought that was cool. I don't know if anybody has missed the news, but they are Renegade is re-releasing that game in September as like a Halloween, special. So that's coming out. D-Day is on the way, but it is only going to be available at Barnes and Noble retail locations, which I thought was kind of interesting. So yeah, so if you want to get it, you can get that there. I did got an email today that said that Commanders, I am no longer the only person outside of Renegade to have a copy of this, because they are now shipping pre-orders and they're accepting orders online now if you want to pick up your copy of the Commanders. I thought these were very cool. Jamie's going to drop our referral link in there, so if you want to click on that and pick up all of your Axis and Allies needs, it helps the channel, and they're pretty cool. So, and yeah, so I think that's fun. Chad Condi's here, everybody. If Doug and Carl get the tickets, does that mean you lost your partner, Gary? No. No. It just means Carl has a ticket to the anniversary event. He can play with you. You want to?
So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to remember the history of this, because I know that when you took that year off, you were kind of like, I think I want to come back like one time. So I think I was going into this past year thinking that you were just going to do one more run at the World Championship and then be done. Did you say something to me about that, or am I making that up?
No, I had a couple of thoughts about it. The first was that because I'm now running a tournament of my own, right, at Battlefront Dayton, and that is setting itself up as a qualifier for the World Championship, it felt weird for me to also play in that event. Mm-hmm. I've talked to a few people about it, other tournament organizers, and they say I'm a crazy person, that it doesn't matter. Now, in a perfect world, the World Championship is invite only, and you do have to win a qualifier. And of course, Battlefront Dayton wouldn't be the only qualifier that would be available. There'd be one in the West Coast, and one in St. Louis, and one in Brisbane, and another one in, Brussels or whatever, right? Like there would be all these, bigger regional events that would then feed into the World Championship. And I think that'd be amazing. We're not there yet. But it is, to me, that's the goal. But so when I talk to other people about it, I say that to them, they're like, that's silly. You should go ahead and play. So I've kind of gotten over that a little bit. But then I was worried that like our coverage of the events would suffer, right? But I had this incredible team, Tracy, Emily, of course, my lovely bride, Jamie, absolutely knocked it out of the park. Like they did a better job than I did earlier on, for sure. So it was really, really great. So I think that if I'm able to put together another A-list team like that, and it seems like they're already kind of signing up to do it, that it would free me up to be able to do that again. So if you'll have me, Doug.
Am I gonna have to play one of these games partially solo again? That's my question.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if we ever told anybody that.
You
Um,
did, yeah. We
did I
talked
say it in
about
the
it.
video or did I say it in the live stream? I can't remember.
I think it was the last live stream. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. The semifinal match that we played against Brian and Adam, epic game, by the way. If you haven't watched it, find a link. It's amazing. I was in Lucas Oil when it started because I had to set up for the recording of the diplomacy game, like the U.S. Nationals diplomacy final. We were recording that as well. And so I was over there with Emily getting all that set up and then like running across, through 70,000 people from Lucas Oil all the way back to the other side of the convention center and the other side of the expo hall. So it was a whole thing. So I didn't get there until the end of round one. So it was like an hour. I was like an hour late for
Yeah.
that game. So yeah.
Yeah, because I know we blamed in the video all the bad mistakes on me for round one because you weren't there.
That's right. That's right. This is a good question. Have time clocks seem to make a difference in the Axis and Allies games? Have there been any tournaments with clocks that actually affect the game, or is that forthcoming? Okay, so we introduced time clocks this year in 2025. We played Spring Gathering, Gen Con, Battlefront Dayton. We had them at every one of the 42nd edition games, global games, and anniversary games. And I think it did make a difference. There weren't any hard rules that went with it in terms of like, if your clock gets more than an hour different from your opponent, then you do X, Y, or Z. None of that happened. But it made people aware of how much time they were using, not just for themselves, but in comparison to their opponent, right? And I think just bringing that awareness to the players made a big, big difference. And as a tournament organizer, right, if I'm walking around and I'm looking at an anniversary game or a 42-second game and their clocks are 45 or 50 minutes apart or an hour apart, right? I can pull that team aside and say, guys, I need you to pick up the pace because we're looking for, the objective is to have something close to parity, right? It's never going to fall exactly right, but something close to parity is the goal. And as a tournament organizer, if I'm walking around and that clock isn't there, there's no way for me to know that this team is spending 40 minutes to make a decision about Russia 3, right? So yes, in that instance, I think that it did have that. I hope that at some point we do have rules that are a bit more concrete for it, but I don't know that we're there yet. But that's a good question. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the awareness has been really big in just
And I think
knowing
it's helped.
what you're taking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the tough things to factor into all that, as much as I think there should be concrete rules around it, is like when you have two players playing against a solo player, that does things to the clock that's really hard to account for because generally that solo player is going to play quite a bit faster than that pair. So
For sure.
and so it kind of maybe there'd have to be a slightly tweak to the rules if in those situations because they're always going to have less clock time.
How often do the folks at Gen Con in charge of ANA review adding players? What are the max players for, let's say, anniversary world tournament? Oh, okay. So the primary restriction here for the size of the events is interest, right? Like I said, they do sell out, but the larger concern is the available space. So Gen Con, like I said, 70,000 your closest friends. And the area that Greg is in, Greg Smorey is the one who runs the events over there in Smorey Swamp, right? He runs the ANA events. He only has a set number of tables. And so he does his best to kind of get as much out of those tables as he can throughout the course of the tournament, throughout the course of the convention. So it's hard for him to add more. To add more to one event is to take away from another, right? And if that's what the crowd wants, right? Like, there's a bunch of tickets left over for this thing, but this thing's been sold out in 20 minutes. Maybe as the event organizer, you can make a shift, right? And he does from time to time. I've seen him make some shifts. But I think this year, the Anniversary World Tournament had 60 players in it, some of which played solo. So we had a 32 team bracket that played out pretty smoothly. There was a couple of drops. So, and you know what? And I need to make sure that I say this because I think I forgot to say it in the video. I mentioned that Mike and Dave lost in round one, and then I also said it's a single elimination tournament. So, in the event in round one, there was a couple of drops, right? People that didn't want to continue into round two. So there were open slots. And what Greg did is he allowed people that lost in round one that wanted to continue to round two to roll. I think it was a D100. And so they rolled a D100 and then rated, however, whatever the highest two numbers were. There was another team that lost in round one that got advanced into round two. So this is how that happened. It wasn't just like Greg's buddy did X, Y, or Z. There was a process for it. And I don't think I said that in the video. So that's worth
Good catch.
reiterating.
Yeah, I would love to see. We talked about this a little bit on one of the other live streams. For the World Championship, for it to be like pool play, and then go into like a bracket, like Greg used to run the Masters Invitational tournament. But the issue is table space and time, because if you have, whatever, the 32 teams, and then that goes down to 16, you open up the table space for the other tournaments and games that are happening. Whereas if you keep having those same, 32 games going, it just occupies that table space for a couple of days. So that's the challenge there. But I'd love to see that happen. I'm hoping that there's a way to make that happen.
And that's the advantage that we have at Battlefront Dayton, right? Is that we have a lot of space. And I'm going to use that as a segue because Jamie and I sat down and went through the contract today, and we've got a last few punch list items that we need to go over with the hotel. But we're pretty solid at this point to be able to say that Battlefront Dayton 2026 is going to happen. The event dates are going to be November 6th, 7th, and 8th, though we may have a couple of things happen on the night before. We had a lot of people come in on Thursday and then not have anything to do on Thursday night. So we may add some stuff to the calendar for Thursday night. And the games, I believe, are going to start on Friday morning. We're not going to wait until noon like we did last year. So we're going to get started on Friday morning so that we'll be able to get some more things happening. Hopefully this year, the Air Force Museum will be open, as it happened last year. The timing of it was bad because we were also in the middle of a government shutdown. So that meant that the National Air Force Museum was closed, which was a drag. Everybody was really looking forward to that. So we'll have to make sure, hopefully, that'll be open. But at this point, though, we still haven't signed with the hotel. So don't call the hotel. Don't try to book your rooms or anything like that. But just like I had to save the date before, now it's a bit more firm. So that is really the headline right there. We've got a lot of very cool things coming up this year. We're working with some of the game companies to try to figure out how to sell things. We're going to add some merch that'll be available in the purchase process. So you'll be able to order a t-shirt when you buy your badge and stuff like that. So it should be even better than it was last year. If you had a great time last year, fantastic. We're going to do it. We're going to do it again. We're going to do it better this year. If you came last year and thought it was terrible, we're going to fix some of the things that made it bad for you. So we can have you back again. So anyway, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be fun. I hope everybody gets a chance to come out with this. Lots more information coming about that. So that's the big takeaway right now is that we are a go for Battlefront Dayton 26.
It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I think if anybody didn't enjoy it, they just need to come back this year and give it a second shot. I mean, that's kind of my thought. Like, or just keep those thoughts to themselves for a couple of years. Like, either way is fine.
Right. It was your first year. What do you want to do?
Yeah. It's like, it'd be perfect.
Right.
My only complaint is I never got to demo, um, I never got to demo like other games hardly except one
Well,
night diplomacy, you know?
yeah, and part of it I think is 'cause you were sick as hell. Like I don't know
Yeah,
if anybody noticed this, but like when Doug rolled in on was you showed up on Friday morning, like
Thursday
near
night.
death. Like he was so sick. He was so
Yeah.
sick
I
that
was
he
at urgent care Friday morning getting steroids and antibiotics
right,
and stuff.
right. So yeah, so he was jacked up on steroids when he went into the tournament. Thanks for that,
That's
Doug, because we needed
great.
that scandal. I'm gonna have to
Oops,
start
I
doing
forgot I wasn't supposed to say that I was on
we're doing
performance
doping tests now before Battlefront Dayton. Everybody's got to go pee in a cup. Come on now, Doug. Hey. No, we're
performance
not.
enhancing drugs is what got me through.
You won the Triple Crown, but you were juiced. Man, come on.
It's a big asterisk next to it now.
Yes, there it is. Steineman, good to see you, brother. Do you think that ANA should always be the World Championship game, or do you think it should rotate every year? Or what if you had to play a different game each round? Ooh. Um, okay, so you're talking about a decathlon or a triathlon. I guess it'd be a triathlon because you'd play 42
I
global
mean,
and anniversary,
there
right?
are about 10 versions, right?
Right. Um, I am of the opinion that there should be 3 World Championship events. That there should be a 42 World Championship, there should be an anniversary World Championship, there should be a global World Championship. Because those games are different enough. So I think about like swimming. How like Michael Phelps is the winningest. He's got more gold medals than any athlete in history, right? But he's winning like 6 or 7 every time he goes to the Olympics because those events are all different events, right? There's not one gold medal for swimming, right? Should there be one world championship for Axis and Allies? I don't think so. I promise you that there are 42 second edition specialists that a global player that walked over there couldn't win that game, right? And there are anniversary players that couldn't win global, right? What's up? Right?
Yeah.
I just don't play that version enough to
Yeah.
feel like I'd be competitive over there. So I think they should each be their own thing.
I have a slightly different opinion than Gary.
Of course you do.
You guys, yeah, that's right, exactly. I don't have a strong opinion about this, but I bring up chess a lot. I follow chess a little bit. There is one chess world championship. And there's a lot of different, very, very valid ways to play chess. There's a speed chess championship. But it's not, no, but there's one world championship. It's classical chess. That's the world championship. There's other championships.
There's a world blitz champion.
Yeah, I don't
Magnus
know.
has won this like 6 times.
Yeah, but when you talk about who's the world champion of chess right now, it's Gukesh because he won the FIDE World Chess Championship.
Sure.
So I don't. All that being said is I don't have a problem with, in principle, there being a version that is the world championship, and there being other versions that have their own championships. Like I think there's a plenty of precedent for that out there. So
I think to me the advantage from a logistical point of view of having 42 anniversary and global be their own independent world championship events is that right now everyone's being funneled into anniversary because they're chasing this world championship title, right? Which is cool, right? And that's good because it focuses everyone's attention. So that's good. Good for me, right? Because it makes more people watch the videos. But if you're running events, it would be easier to run those events if one event didn't have 64. It'd be easier to run 2 16-team events than it is to run one 32-team event, right? A 32 and then an 8, right? It's easier to do that. So
yeah, that's
it's
fair.
tricky.
Yeah.
We're not going to be in the stealth room this year, Brian. So last year, Brian Hyde played in the at Battlefront Dayton last year, and we live streamed those games. So if you want to see sections of those games, you can find them on our channel. But what you won't hear in the video is that those rooms were freezing cold. It was first week of November in Ohio, and they told me, and I just forgot. There's no heat in those rooms, so they had like a couple of small space heaters, but they're pretty big rooms. And it was just these two tables in there, so it wasn't like there was enough body heat from a bunch of people to try to warm the room. So the room was cold like the entire weekend. So
Yeah, cool.
yeah, it was pretty cold. I'm sorry about that, but I hope everybody still had a good time. And of course, Doug is sick as hell sitting in this room that's freezing cold. I feel bad about that. I just put those two things together. I'm sorry about that. But we won't be in that. We won't be playing in that room again this year. We'll have the live stream. We'll still do the live stream, but we're going to put it in one of the other side rooms that has heat and air conditioning. My bad. Okay, Quattro, I'm gonna come back to you. Yeah. Tracy knows. Carl did most of the work anyway. Doug was high on whatever it was he was on.
It's a good thing I had Carl there.
Yeah. This year's trophy is really cool. I told my wife I'd sacrifice a game box to make one for myself. She replied, "You'd want a fake achievement that isn't yours." No, I just want the framed picture. Yeah. No, you gotta. You can make it if you want to, but you gotta win it yourself. Oh, that's an interesting idea. We should have belts like boxing. That's an interesting idea, actually, to have like. Now we have the title, right? So what's interesting, I will say that this is an interesting idea. Like, if you're the world champion and you go to an event, do you play the full bracket, or do you just wait for the bracket to run itself through and then you play the world champion for the title?
That's chess again.
Right.
The guy who's the world champion doesn't play in the candidates. Someone
Right.
raises to challenge him. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say though that I think that us
Interesting
playing
concept.
the 4 games leading into the final made us better.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we saw that Long Island run that we end up using in the final, right?
Stole it 2 games later.
Absolutely. I'll take that. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So, but that's a fun idea. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh. Thank you for the super chat. What about an A&A Classic re-release? I would like to see this, but I think the game needs a few balance modifications.
I was going to say, is it broken somewhat?
Yeah.
Isn't there like a 20 bid in that one or am I making that up?
Yeah, that's about right.
Sides because they do some tournament play in that or something.
Yeah, there's a classic tournament at Gen Con, and I think the bid is like 20. It's a lot. So there'd have to be some balance adjustments to it, or just go into it knowing that you have to give I think it's the allies. I think you have to give the allies 20. Or maybe it's I can't remember. One side gets 20.
I could be getting confused with 42-second before the adjustment was made, but I think Classic is heavily favored toward the allies.
Yeah, like 3-2. So yeah, but I think it would also be really hard to remake that box, because like that box is twice as big as it needs to be.
Yeah,
I know this for a fact because I have 2 copies of the classic game in the box sitting on the shelf.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like literally, like the styrofoam containers and stuff. I have 2 of them and 2 boards in the same box.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they made them so big, but that's what they did. I don't know. Speaking of Blitz, one of the things I want to do at Battlefront Dayton this year is to have a Blitz tournament. We'll see if anybody's interested in that. It'll be like Friday night. It'll play like 3 hours. Each game is an hour long total. And I think, I don't know, maybe it's 3 rounds. I don't know how you do it.
Better have the spies ready.
Yeah. And there must be drinking involved if you're going to play. It's a whole thing. But it occurred to me that maybe we don't play an anniversary, we play 41.
Hmm.
Like, I
Yeah.
think that'd be kind of fun. But yes. Oh,
Yeah, I
right.
think you'd have to find a version that you can, if you're only going 3 rounds, like, can both teams actually win in 3 rounds? Like,
Well, you'd have the same win conditions that you have, right?
well, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm just trying to think, like, the Axis would get Karelia, they might get India, but can the Allies get a VC in 3 rounds? Like, I don't know that they can.
In
Like,
41, they
that's,
can.
yeah, okay, yeah, but that's what I'm saying in
Right.
in anniversary or something, you know.
Hmm. Okay, I'll give you $2. Okay, cool. Quick Flex, 1800. 1800 rated in the Chess Federation. Very nice.
Nice.
ANA number 2. That's okay. Bring that rating to Gen Con next year. Let's see how it holds up. We're rooting for you. Yeah, to play Blitz must have a 3-drink minimum. I like where your head's at. Brian. All right. Okay, so prizes. Yes. Okay. Let me get my other thing set up here. All right, so we got to 250. I don't think we made 300. So I'm doing the global, and then I've got 42 second edition, and I've got a diplomacy case here. Let me grab this diplomacy thing here. Okay, so you get this, and here it is. So this is a bag of like ridiculous diplomacy stuff. Like some of it's really nice. There's pen. There's a diplomacy pen. There's a thing in here, Diplo mints. A little tin of mints. So there's just a bunch of diplomacy stuff in here. It's a lot of fun. Again, these are from our friend Tom Haver, who's a diplomacy nut. There's no doubt about that. So we get this, and you get the Diplomacy Era of Empire mug. So we'll send these over to you. If one of our friends in Australia wins, we're gonna have a conversation. We're gonna talk about how to make that work. You have to come to Gen Con to get it. I think that's what we're gonna do. All right.
Shipping alone.
Yes. Yeah. Somebody asked for 300, and I said we'd we'd give away another global board, but that's fine. We got plenty. Todana, you're doing great, brother. I appreciate your energy. Okay. All right. So we'll do that one first. Let me come over here. Hey. All right. It worked. Okay. So once again, a couple of things that I need to say. My legal department has reminded me that a couple things I need to say. The first is that our giveaway is not sponsored by anyone at YouTube. This is a Board Game Nation giveaway. The next thing is that in order to win, you have to hit the like button. But that is not the only qualifier. Please go ahead and take a moment and hit that like button for us. We appreciate it. Next is that you got to be 18 or older to win. I can't send stuff to minors. It's weird. I'm not doing it. So you got to be 18 or older to win. And if you receive one of these prizes and you are outside of North America, we're gonna talk about how to get you something but it might not. If you win the game, we might try to find a local game store closer to you. It'd be cheaper for us to buy you the game locally than it is to ship it to you. This happened with a couple of things in Denmark. I learned that the hard way. So we're going to try to make that make sense. So a couple of what else? There was something else. Oh, sponsors for this. Tom Haver gave us the diplomacy stuff. Renegade Games provided the copies of 1942 second edition. And Larry Harris was kind enough to sign these maps for us. So we want to take a moment and acknowledge those friends of the channel. Anything else, Doug? Did I forget anything?
Sounds right, man. I'm not your legal department, so I don't know.
Right. So the other thing, once again, I said this at the beginning, but in order to win, you have to have been a member for 30 days, or you have to have registered as a member at the lieutenant or general level. Here's why. Because all of the gift memberships, they come in as sergeant. So if you signed up as a sergeant in the last 30 days, I can't tell whether or not yours was a gift membership or you signed up on your own. So this is the best that I can, this is the compromise I came up with. So if you win, the way that you collect your prize is you need to reach out to me either through Facebook or on Discord. I'm pretty easy to go to Board Game Nation, facebook.com/Board Game Nation, and you can send a message to the account, and I'm the one who answers that. Or you can find me on the Discord server, Gary Board Game Nation. I'm the admin for that as well. Quick shout out, by the way, to Panzer Vox. He is a volunteer moderator for us on the Discord server. He's just been a great job for us. He's been helping troubleshoot. We had all these great new members last week coming in, and some folks, sometimes the connection from YouTube doesn't work exactly right, and he's done a great job like jumping in and helping moderate that and helping troubleshoot for some folks. So thank you to him. So awesome. Okay, so first up, yes. Yes, Todana, you're on here. So yes, on this list, we've got, I think it's like 119 or 122 people, something like that. And we were doing these giveaways last year during, I think Gary and Doug versus the World was when we were doing them in 2025. And every week I was adding add a prize, spin again, and it never hit. So I've added 4 of them to this chart. So if it comes up spin again, then it's add a prize, spin again. There's 4 of them on here. So I said that I would keep adding one every time we had a drawing until it hit. Well, it hasn't hit yet, so I'm a man of my word. Here we go. Okay. We need to. All right, this is for the diplomacy mug and gift kit, Tom Haver. DB3. So DB3, if you are watching or you know who DB3 is, please have him or her reach out to me to get close to the have him reach out, and we'll make sure that we're able to get that over to him. I don't know how many we're at, Todana. I think we're how many members do we have? I think she's typing. 51. We got 251 right now. We made the 250 mark, which is fantastic. I'm blown away by all that. That's awesome. So yes. Yes. Curse the legal department. Oh, sorry, brother. Thank you very much for the super chat here, Cambot. We appreciate that. Okay. So next up, we have the 1942 second edition game. Everybody knows what that looks like. I don't think I need to hold one up, do I? Yeah. I got one right here. Whoosh. 1942 second edition. Not this one. This might be. Is this the copy that we won in 2023, or did I give that to you?
I have the board.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I don't have the game. I don't know.
Okay. So 1942 second edition. Here we go. Pino, wow. How you doing, brother? Great to see your name pop up here. Pino Blue Vogel, we appreciate your support, my friend. And there's a copy of 1942 second edition coming your way. I think Pino lives outside of the U.S. We're gonna work on that. So awesome, Pino. Thank you very much for all the support. If you know how to reach Pino, and because I haven't seen him in the chat today, he's normally pretty active. So I don't think he's here yet. But if you happen to see him or know how to reach him, please let him know. So congrats to Pino for winning that one. Well, y'all should auction off your championship trophies. No. I just got this thing. What are you talking about? No. I appreciate that, though. Thank you very much. All right. All right. Last one is the signed Larry Harris global map. Hey, Jon Bosch is here. Let's see who's taking this one home. I got to work on the timing of that. All right. Signed global map. Who's getting it? Kevin Wilmarth. Fantastic. Congratulations, Kevin. Please reach out to us through the Facebook page or through Discord, and we will get this in the mail over to you. We appreciate everybody's support. You're right. We're going to need a bigger wheel soon. This is what we got right now, though. So I think it's a pretty good one. I'll take it. Awesome.
Either that, or you just got to give away like 50 prizes a year to like pare it down, right?
Yeah, right. All right. So that's amazing. So thank you very much to everybody that has watched and enjoyed this. So I said before that I had stats for this tournament, or for our coverage of this, and now I can't seem to bring it up. Where did it go? It's disappeared. Well, that's weird. Okay. Oh, it's falling between my two screens. That's weird. All right.
Gary's the guy who has like 8,000 things open on his computer at all times.
That is absolutely true. That is absolutely correct. And some of them are on right now. It shouldn't be. What in the heck? It's okay. Let's do it this way. All right. So in this series, we've had 11 pieces of content published. That's 6 live streams and 5 videos. The total length of our live streams now is at 8 hours, because we've done 6 hours up until now. No, I'm sorry. It's at 11 hours because we had the one on the first one. Like I said before, the stills, 3,823 stills. The size of the files of the published videos, 190 gigs.
That's a lot.
Yeah. The time that it took to rebuild the games.
Oh, man.
Right. So to take those 3,823 pictures. So the time that it takes to photograph the games and then also do the analysis along the way. Right. So like you're looking at it. And this is part of the trick when you're doing this kind of thing is you're going through it and then you end up spending 20 minutes like staring at a position, like analyzing the position. And now all of a sudden, instead of taking 6 hours to do this, it's going to take 12 hours because you've spent all this time like analyzing the game, getting lost in the game. So total time used for that was 74 hours.
That's a lot of time, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah. So Doug and I, when we get together, so step by step now. So there's the production of the video and then there's the recreation. So now I shoot all the stills and then Doug and I get together in a format that looks almost exactly like this. And then we do a walkthrough of the game, which is then edited into what you finally end up seeing. So as we, the time that we use to do that, it averages about 4 hours per game between technical warm-ups, general discussion, and then like, hang on, I got to run to the bathroom. Like these kinds of stuff. Total was 20 and a half hours of over the course of these 5 videos. Some were shorter, some were longer, obviously depending on the game and the format. I've used about 12 hours, and Doug has helped with this part too. Prep for the live streams, which I think, by the way, not to my horn here, but I think that our live streams this year have been a lot better than they've been in the past. They've been more structured. We've had more things that definitely wanted to talk about and so on. So I think the prep here has paid off, and I think that we've seen more viewers, and I think that I think it's been much better.
Going
So
over concrete conditions and that type of thing.
Yeah. So total hours used for the rebuilding, 106.5 hours for the rebuilding. Yeah. Editing total about 140 hours for all 5 games that we've done so far. And we had another 60 hours of help with pictures and video. So Aaron Jones, Pones Jones over at Board Game Hackers. If you have not subscribed to his channel, as soon as we're done here, go do that. You'll find it's youtube.com/boardgamehackers. Fun channel, lots of Access and Allies stuff. He's a super nice guy. We're hoping to be able to get him for Battlefront Dayton this year to help with some of the tech. And then Brian and Tracy Hyde took a bunch of the pictures, and they spent another 20 hours taking pictures for, I think, the first semifinal match, our game against Brian and Adam. I was sick as hell at the beginning of this process. And so Brian and Tracy jumped in and they took the pictures, and Aaron jumped in and did some editing on one of our walkthrough pieces and just did a fantastic job. So that is the rebuild process. The capturing of the footage itself, right? Gen Con. Okay. Our travel time back and forth is about 16 hours. We were on site each day for, morning to midnight or whatever. Total was 63 hours on site at Gen Con for each person.
It's a lot of time.
Yeah. We had 3 amazing volunteers for that, one of which is goodly enough to be married to me. She was fantastic. And then, of course, Tracy and Emily both did an amazing job. And so we're super grateful for them. On the tech side, we used 18 different cell phones to record all of the videos, like all the games. It was 18 different cell phones to do that. Over 65 memory cards that are each about a half a gig each. And we use a Samsung S20 Plus because it's the last cell phone that would take a memory card that you could pull out. Right. Now they're all built in. You can't, because it takes time to get the data off of a phone so that before you can put it back into action. Right. Like this thing all of a sudden has 200 gigs worth of video on it. That's going to take an hour and a half or longer to transfer from the phone to an external drive so that you can erase it from the phone and put it back into action. The only way that this works is with a memory card. You have to be able to pull the memory card out, put a new one in, and put it back into play, right? So 65 memory cards. Total number of videos, individual videos recorded over the course of the 4 days that we were recording at Gen Con. Any guesses?
I have no idea, which makes me want to say a ridiculously high number.
What do you think is a ridiculously high number?
I don't know. 300?
267.
Okay.
Individual like stop and start videos, right?
Yeah.
And the way that we had Jamie and Tracy and Emily doing it was they were watching all of the games, and to make the editing easier, they would stop the videos at the end of each round so that like there'd be 3 cameras or 4 cameras on a game, and they would stop it at the end of each round so that I could then pair up those videos and see where everything was, right? Because they all have timestamps. So 267. Total size, data storage required for all of those videos.
I guess starts with a T.
It does. It does start with a T. Yes. 2.6 terabytes of video, of raw video collected from Gen Con. Yes. Absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. And it was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of work, but it was a blast, and it's been a heck of a season. I mean, the final video already has 10,000 views on it, with I don't know how many unique viewers. 4,400 unique viewers. That's fantastic. So this is great. We're super excited about it. Super grateful for everybody that has watched and made it possible, and all the support. And I promised earlier. Somebody asked. I promised earlier that I would say what our next upcoming stuff was. So because I thank you, Mr. Coffee. Because I laid out those goals last week, and you guys just blew through them like they were tissue paper. We've got 2 more videos to make. The first will be the round 2 that we've been talking about since the beginning here. Our game against the Long Island guys. We're going to make the replay of that game. It's going to be a little bit different because everyone knows the outcome already, or most people know the outcome, but we're still make that video as like the story's lame if you like start from the beginning and say, well, we won this game, but let's tell you how we won. That's lame. So when you watch that video, it'll be in the same style of, we don't know how this played out, right? Let's see what happened, right? Because I think that's, otherwise, who watches a game that you're, anyway. So we're going to do that. And then we're also going to make a play-by-play for the final of the spring gathering from last year, because it was an absolutely incredible game. And I still laugh at like how ridiculous the outcome was. It was just like DC was legitimately in threat. Just there's your teaser. There's your teaser for that game. It is nuts. It is absolutely insane.
I only remember the end where I made a pretty almost catastrophic error. So that's the only thing that sticks in my brain about that game.
Really? I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's true. That's right. I remember that. And Brian and Tracy have already started on the pictures for the round 2 video, by the way. They've decided to jump in, and they're working on it right now. So that's fantastic. So we're grateful for that help. So we're working on those. And then when that's done, we're going to come back. And Robin Bielefeld, who won the tournament, who won the global tournament in 2024 with his team, he is coming back, and he's going to be helping me with coverage of the global tournament from Gen Con in 2025. We have 3 games to get through there, but we're not going to cover it in the same fashion, right? It won't be a solid like play-by-play, like, so that, I try to make these anniversary videos so that if you wanted to recreate the position at home on your table, you could, right? We're not going to do that for global because I want to finish them before I start collecting Social Security, because it'd take a long time. And basically we'll cover an entire game in one video. And if you've ever played global, these games are 9 hours long. We're going to try to get 9 hours of action into an hour or so. So we're going to come back to that. And we'll have those 3 videos. That's the plan for that, is to make 3 videos. And then after that, we'll have to see. I think we're talking about Gary and Doug versus the world. We haven't nailed down the exact timeline for that yet. We're working out the details for that. And then we'll also have the pledge drive. So we're going to have the crowdfunding to figure out how to pay the bills around here and keep me off the streets of your neighborhood. So we'll have to, yes. And you'd be surprised. Yes. You need a pledge drive to buy more storage space. That was a legitimate expense of like paying for additional storage, data storage. Like you should see I should take a picture of my desk and put it up one day. I have 8 drives on my desk because I'm always like fishing in and out of them. So yes, that's a real thing, Tracy. So yes. Okay. All right. What else are you thinking there, Doug?
Not a lot. Thinking about Gary and Doug versus the world a little bit. It could end up being a little bit of a different format because if we do 42-second because Russia and America go back to back, whereas it was like they get to plan and we go, and they plan and we go live, but that could change that dynamic. I guess whoever's the allies will have to, if it's the world, they would have to plan America and Russia, which could change some things on the fly
Yeah.
depending on what happens with America. And if we're the allies, I guess we would just do them back to back. It wouldn't. I guess it would only really matter if the world's allies. Anyway, we're
Well,
not going
and
to
I think
figure that
that's the plan, is to make
out.
the world the allies, right? Because one of the things that we were trying to accomplish with playing 42 second is we need to show everybody our counter for the Thorpe Thump, right? Like that's the idea. Because
Sure
when
hope
we
it
played it in
works.
practice, yeah. What? Yeah, make sure it works, right?
Is that I sure hope it works.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll see. Um, but yeah, I mean, I mean, that's the idea is,
I
but you're
forgot
right. We probably have to change the format a little bit.
some logistics a little bit on that, but yeah.
Yeah. So, and maybe the way that it works is like whichever commander gets the most votes for their U.S. turn. Maybe they're pitching the U.S. and Soviet turn, right? So they say we're going to do this, and then we'll do this, and then if they get the most votes, then will need to be on the live stream so that they can make any adjustments to the Soviets' move, right? Because in theory, like you can say the Soviets are going to do this, the Americans are going to do this, and those a lot of times don't have a lot to do with each other, right? In 42 seconds, sometimes they do, but not all that often. So yeah, so there's that, and then something that is on the burner. How many people have we still got here? We got about 100 people here. So I'm gonna ask my 100 people here. Something that's on the burner is a shorter podcast that is like 20 to 30-minute episodes that are similar to the screen share discussion that we had a little while ago. It'd be like this. It'd be like this, Yes. It'd be like this, but it would only be one of these, right? And it would be 15 or 20 minutes. And that would be, we'd shoot a bunch of them at the same time, and then we'd publish them like once a week. But then we'd also have other people on, guests from that were players, members, people from Renegade, maybe Larry, whatever, just to kind of have a regular stream of content that was out here instead of like these giant kind of video dumps that we've been doing for the last couple of years. So if that was a thing, would anybody watch? Would you guys watch that? I don't know. I hope so.
Would this just be a pre-recorded 20-minute video?
Right. I mean, there'd still be an open, I think what we would do is I would premiere them. So there's a feature in YouTube where you can premiere a video. So it's the video is just a regular video that plays, but then there's a live chat that goes with it at the same time, right? So I would still be on as Board Game Nation talking to folks or trying to answer questions while the video was going on.
Yeah.
Right. But it wouldn't be like this, where like we'd be able to bring comments on the screen and all of that kind of stuff. But any answers that we had, any questions that we had would be answered, either in the live chat or in the comments afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that'd be fun. So
I think it'd be good.
Yeah. And we might be able to find some sponsors for that, which would be good too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's tons of players, out there, players that I've learned a lot from who could probably whoop me 9 times out of 10. And it'd be cool to get, hey, what do you think about this position? Pick their brain on stuff. What would you do?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And I think it'd be fun to have, people that we know, people that we, that we've seen in other conventions or it wouldn't even all have to be A&A necessarily. Like I'd be happy to have the Invicta Rex guys on to talk about Song for War, or we'll have Tom Gale on from Nightingale to talk about Imperial Borders, which is now shipping, by the way. If you backed Imperial Borders, smart choice. It's incredible. That's shipping now. So that's awesome. So that, so I'm sure they're going to have something that they're going to want to talk about when it comes to that. So I think maybe we could just, I like the ANA content, of course, and I know everybody else does too, but I think it might be cool to also have some of the other, popular games that are in there. Yeah. 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 Short form. Yeah. This is the trick. Like, short form is a term in this genre that usually means less than 5 minutes. And there's just not a whole lot you can say about anything Access Knowledge related in like 5 minutes. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard. And particularly in a vertical format, because all of our maps are wide landscape maps. So it's very difficult to make the short form vertical content, which, YouTube, I get an email a week saying, hey, you should upload shorts. It's great for the blah, 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 blah. Okay. But that's awesome. But no. Quattro, you had a question about a light bulb. Can you bring it back up? I've tried to find it a little minute ago, but I can't find it now.
Oh, was that was that last live stream?
Yeah. Yeah. So last week, Quattro, our friend from Brazil, I think you're from Brazil, right? He set up a joke. He said, how many Axis and Allies players does it take to screw in a light bulb? And then he never said anything. I brought the comment on the screen, waiting for him to bring me a punchline. I've done comedy before. I appreciate a good joke. And then he just went radio silent. And I was like, dude, like, you said knock, knock. We said, who's there? And you left. Like, I don't understand. You just walked away. I didn't know what to do. It was bad. It was tough. I've spent the whole week trying to figure out a punchline for that joke. I don't know what to do with it. So I don't know. I'm not sure he's here. We'll see if he gives us a punchline for the joke.
He got you. Did I make that up? I thought he got you a punchline afterward.
I missed it. If he did, I missed it. I'm not sure.
Oh.
Yeah. So Brian, this might be one of the things that comes in the crowdfunding campaign, is we may set up to play an online game, or we may play a game like we played Gary and Doug versus the World, where we do like the overhead shot and we have somebody on a call like this, and we can play that way. Or we can put Doug on a plane and send him to your house. And he brings all his trophies with him. It's a thing. We're going to do it. It's going to be amazing. All right. Okay, here's the punchline. One player to send the bombers to destroy the burnt out lamp and wait for the next player to resolve all the mess. Fair enough. Sounds like Doug's with his American bombers.
That's right. I love those things.
I know that you do. Yes. All right, my friends. I think we're going to leave it right there. It's been an incredible run. There's more to come. We've got, like we said, the second round game from the Long Island guys, and then Brian and Adam's game from the spring gathering. So we'll be back with those. I am tomorrow morning going to take my wife, and we're going to go see the grandkids for the weekend and try to decompress for a couple of days, and we'll be back next week, hopefully to sign the contract with the Hope Hotel to nail down all the final details over there. And then I'll be back to work, and we'll be getting some of the pictures. Brian and Tracy will be still working on the pictures for the round 2. I'll get started on the pictures for the spring gathering final, and hopefully we'll be able to get that out in the next 3 weeks. So keep an eye out for that. And we will we'll see what's happening here. Congrats on the being the 2025 Access Knowledge World Champion, Doug Thorpe.
Thanks. Congrats yourself, Gary, for being the 2025 World Champion of Access Knowledge.
Yeah. So when the first time we won, and I came home from Gen Con, I insisted that Jamie call me World Champion. I would not answer to anything other than World Champion for a few days. I was kind of an ass about it, I'm not gonna lie. But when we came home this year, because she was with me at Gen Con, so she saw it. And so like for the rest of the trip. And then for a couple days after, I didn't have to be called world champion anymore. I had to be called two-time. Two-time. She'd say, I'm here with the world champion. No. Two-time.
Two-time. That's funny. The joke that I made was after winning the first world championship, within a week or two, I went to get gas and my boys were with me. And I don't know if the sign said gas was, $3.50. When I actually pumped it, it was $3.49. And one of my kids was like, that's weird. It was like a penny off. I was like, well, that's because I'm the Access Noise world champion. And they recognized that. So they gave me a penny off of gas. Like,
obviously.
It was
just like, know who I am?
Yeah. It was the first random thing that came to my brain. It was like,
that's fun. All right, Quattro. I'm going to give you one more try. Why the Access Knowledge player across the street? You better have a punchline this time, I swear to God. What do you got? Oh. All right. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Yes. Today I have 2 grandkids, 3 and 5. Next live stream for the answer. You're going to leave us on a cliffhanger. Quattro, what are you doing to me?
I like it. That's funny.
We'll save it for next time. We appreciate that. All right, Doug. Thanks again for everything. You've been a trooper.
This is fun, everybody.
And we will see you next time. Have a great night.
Bye, everybody.